Chapter 334. With a snap of his fingers, the entire world seemed to have quietened down. What biting cold killing intent, what surging spiritual energy, all of it disappeared completely. Only the two of them were left in the air. Chinya said faintly, "Don't wake Ali up." Chu Bai, who was at the back, had his mouth wide open. At least 20 ham sausages could be inserted into his mouth. With just a snap of his fingers, he was able to take care of the son of an aristocratic family and the sage doctor. If that is the case, just now, I have lost face. No. If this beauty was already so powerful, then wouldn't her husband be even more abnormal? Oh my God. Oh my God. Qin Yutong, who was at the side, heaved a sigh of relief. Big sister is starting to act cool again. She really doesn't give me even the slightest bit of chance. In the future, I won't play with big sister anymore. Moreover, big sister even imitated brother-in-law by snapping her fingers. It's amazing to have the power of a bloodline. When brother-in-law is in a good mood, I'll ask brother-in-law to help me obtain a bloodline. Fortunately, the seal on the ring on Chinya's finger was not removed. Otherwise, with the snap of her finger, it would have been even more terrifying. At this moment, Yi Tai and Song Huang could no longer remain calm. The other party had merely snapped his fingers, and their spiritual energy had instantly dissipated. This was impossible. Who exactly are you? Yi Tai asked in a low voice. He no longer had the calmness from before and was now in a state of panic. Chinya said faintly, "I'm just an ordinary woman, that's all. I'm just beautiful, rich, and have an adorable husband." Qin Yutong covered her ears. "I'm not listening. I'm not listening, big sister is too good at acting cool." Even Chu Bai thought so. Back then, Chinya was such a pure and innocent girl. Ever since she got screwed by Yi Hua, she gradually became depraved and started to like to act cool. Yi Tai and Song Huang struggled with all their might, but it was useless. "Do you know who I am? If you dare touch me, you'll be finished." Yi Tai had a look of panic on his face. This woman was so terrifying. He had been in the profession for more than 20 years, and today, he had finally stepped on a nail. Chinya waved her hand, and a piece of leaf slowly floated up. "I know, you are the son of an aristocratic family, and he is a sage doctor. Since you know, why aren't you letting me go?" Chinya shouted coldly, "You actually dared to insult my husband just now. You can't avoid death, but you can't escape punishment. You." Yi Tai stared at Chinya, completely losing the arrogance he had just now. The leaves emitted a green light and instantly attacked the two of them. The green light turned into a flowing shadow and danced in the pitch-black night sky. Shwa, shwa, shwa. At this moment, the leaves were like sharp blades, cutting open wounds on their bodies. Ah! The blood-curdling screams were deafening, and the bone-deep wounds made one's hair stand on end. "Chinya! Stop! I just saved your grandma." Song Huang endured the pain and shouted out. The leaves stopped falling. There was not a single layer of stain on them, which showed how fast they were moving. "Heroine, I won't do it again. I won't dare to do it again. Please spare my life." Yi Tai admitted defeat. This kind of torture was too painful. He might as well give himself a quick death. Chu Bai also whispered, "Miss Qin, killing Yi Tai will be troublesome." Chinya slightly wrinkled her brows. "My parents are still in the north, and in the end, I am following Yi Hua, so I can't stay by their side for a long time. If I were to kill this person, it would be very troublesome for Yi family to investigate this matter, unless I exterminate Yi family." He couldn't be exterminated. The Yi family only had this scum, so the family shouldn't be implicated. Right now, Chinya was affected by Nuwa's bloodline and couldn't bear to be ruthless. Looking at Yi Tai, Chinya said faintly, "If you still dare to forcefully kidnap women in the future, I will definitely not let you off easily. Heroine, be at ease, I won't dare to do bad things anymore." Right now, other than begging for mercy, Yi Tai would agree to any condition. Qinya's beautiful eyes looked toward Song Huang. This was a death stare that came from Qinya. Song Huang's heart trembled, and he didn't dare to raise his head. Let's go home. Qinya let out a breath. This is the only way. Qin Yutong cried out in surprise, Big sister, you are letting them go just like that. They are going to. Alright, Yutong, let's go home. Qinya said tenderly, then patted onto her little sister's shoulder, then sat on the car. Qin Yutong looked towards the two people in the sky. This is also Big sister's benevolence. If it was me, I would definitely cut the two of you into 100 pieces today. Chu Bai continued to be the driver and returned home. However, his heart was unable to calm down for a long time. The two women behind me are too scary to the point that it makes one's hair stand on end. Yi Tai and Song Huang were still hanging in the sky like kites. After quite a while, Yi Tai and Song Huang fell heavily onto the ground. Looking at the wounds on Yi Tai and Song Huang's body, although they were all superficial wounds, they still couldn't stop complaining. Song Huang. How dare you, you actually dared to trick me. Yi Tai shouted out angrily toward Song Huang. Originally, he was having fun playing with women, and suddenly, he received a phone call saying that there were high-quality women. That's right. High-quality women, high to the point that I can't afford to mess with them. Song Huang didn't expect that these two women had hidden themselves so deeply. Yi Tai, how would I know that they have this kind of strength? Damn it, I have been tricked so badly by you. I didn't manage to get a woman, I even got injured, and my reputation has also been ruined. Yi Tai fiercely punched Song Huang. My spirit stones? Song Huang asked probingly. Yi Tai looked at Song Huang and laughed out, with such a pig-like teammate like you still dare to ask me for spirit stones. Do you still have any face left? Yi Tai. You are the one who is useless, and you can't blame me for not being able to get a woman. Don't you know that I also took a risk with you? You took a risk. I was having fun playing with women, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. When that Chu Bai said that, where should I put my face? The more Yi Tai spoke, the angrier he got. Yi Tai, who had his spirit energy dissipated, actually punched towards Song Huang's face. Song Huang dodged the punch and said coldly, Yi Tai. I can forget about the 100 spirit stones, but you have to give me those 50 spirit stones. Consider it as compensation for mental damage, 50 spirit stones. I won't give you even a single spirit stone. After speaking, the two of them had a feeling that they were ready to fight. After quite a while, the two of them didn't seem to be fighting, it was a bit awkward. Because both of them had injuries on their bodies, it was too painful. Just who is this woman's man? Yi Tai couldn't hold on anymore and sat on the ground. The spirit energy within his body was slowly recovering. Song Huang was the same as well. He said, I don't know, but he seems to be someone important. Then, how did you know about them? I was treating my illness at their house today, so I brought them out to play. I didn't expect that I would be tricked by them for spirit stones. Yi Tai sneered, you were tricked by them, and now you are here to trick me. Well done, Song Huang, I will remember you. Humph, you don't have the ability, and yet you blame others. You have the ability? Didn't you still end up being played by those two women? After speaking, the two of them started cursing at each other again. As they cursed at each other, their wounds were affected, and it was so painful that tears started flowing out of their eyes. This time, the two of them didn't speak anymore and focused on recovering their spirit energy. After all, right now, whoever recovered their spirit energy first would have the upper hand. A light breeze blew past, and Song Huang, who was sitting cross-legged, wrinkled his brows. Why is there a smell of smoke in the air? Yi Tai, are you smoking? Song Huang asked coldly. Yi Tai shouted out coldly, smoke your sister, do you think I have the mood to smoke? Then why is there a smell of smoke in the air? Song Huang asked confusedly. Yi Tai sniffed, and he seems to have indeed smelled a smell of smoke. Where did this smell of smoke come from? The two of them looked around, and suddenly, their attention was attracted by a red dot. That red dot should be a cigarette butt. There is actually someone smoking in that forest. Chapter 335. Yi Tai and Song Huang's expressions tensed up, and they slowly stood up. Yi Tai looked at the black shadow and shouted, "Who is playing tricks over there? Get out here right now." Song Huang didn't say anything. He just stared at them. A figure slowly walked out from the forest, smoking a cigarette. The two of them sized up the man. He had a calm demeanor, was smoking, and was wearing a silk nightgown with floral patterns. On his feet was a pair of sociopathic slippers. "Who are you?" Song Huang asked in a low voice. He took a puff of his cigarette and said, "I am the idiot that all of you are talking about." That's right. This person was precisely Yi Hua. In actuality, Yi Hua had already sensed Dong Huang Li's call for help. After leaving behind a mirror image on the bed, Yi Hua appeared at the scene. "I really want to see who dares to provoke my child." Who knew that Ali was completely fine? He was just competing with someone in poetry, and his subordinates were helping Ali cheat. Cheating in games was one thing, but cheating in bullying others was definitely not allowed. He had to properly teach Ali that cheating was not allowed. However, Ali did not embarrass herself. She still had to praise what she deserved. Yi Hua decided that he might as well continue to stay. He saw that Xiao Yi's overall performance was not bad, and he knew how to conduct himself. Of course, when Yi Hua saw Chen Xuanzong, he immediately wanted to kill Chen Xuanzong. However, Qin Ye's attitude made Yi Hua very happy, and thus, Yi Hua didn't kill Chen Xuanzong. During the auction, Yi Hua also discovered something interesting. Initially, I thought that with Xiao Yi's withdrawal, Bai family would naturally be able to obtain the position of an aristocratic family, but I didn't expect that Tang family would suddenly appear out of nowhere. However, this was not the main point. It seemed that there was a story behind the Tang family's dagger. It would be better to ask Baiji about it. Things had become very interesting. Initially, Yi Hua wanted to come back directly, but Yi Hua was a little worried. Thus, he followed behind Yi Hua. Sure enough, something happened. Then, he quietly stood at the side and watched his wife act cool. Qin Ye's words made Yi Hua feel very happy. She called Yi Hua hubby so sweetly. When she was at home, she didn't have this kind of attitude. She would call Yi Hua, and when she was acting coquettishly, she would call Yi Hua hubby. However, Qin Ye was still not decisive enough. There was no need to keep this kind of people, because their nature would never change. If you let them off once, they would think of ways to continue harassing you. The trouble would not stop. More importantly, these two people actually dared to insult my lovely wife and sister-in-law. This sin, even the heavens will not forgive. You even dared to call me an idiot. Since Qin Ye is merciful and doesn't want to make a move, then let me do it for her. This was just like how the wife would let the man go, and the man would follow behind and kill the man. Hearing Yi Hua's words, the two were puzzled for a moment, and Yi Tai said in surprise, "You are Qin Ye's husband." "I, the Supreme Overlord, am naturally her man, and only such an outstanding man like me is worthy of her." Yi Hua breathed out a mouthful of smoke, and an extraordinary aura was being emitted from his entire body. The air of narcissism. Yi Tai and Song Huang also sensed an aura of arrogance coming from Yi Tai. No wonder that woman's arrogance was so high. Yi Tai and Song Huang's emotions were all led astray by Yi Tai. "What do you want?" Song Huang asked coldly. Yi Hua flicked away the cigarette butt in his hand. "What do I want? Don't you stupid humans know what's going on?" The two of them slowly retreated. Yi Tai hurriedly said, "Your wife just let us go. You can't go back on your words. In my home, my words are the heavens, and they don't count." Yi Hua said faintly. He wanted to light up another cigarette, but in the end, he wasn't able to. Dong Huang Baiji had restricted his movements. Seeing Yi Hua's actions, Yi Tai immediately took out the cigarette that he was carrying. Big brother, please smoke. Not bad, you know how to conduct yourself. Yi Hua stuffed the cigarette into his pajamas, then took out a cigarette and lit it up. After taking a puff of the cigarette, Yi Hua immediately wrinkled his brows and looked at the brand. I, the Supreme Overlord, still prefer to smoke Furong King. Therefore, you cannot escape from your sins. Yi Hua silently took a puff of the cigarette. The taste is not bad, just that it is a bit expensive. Right now, my finances are being controlled by my wives, and I only get 100 RMB per day. I can't afford to smoke it. This fellow actually dared to show off in front of me. This is unforgivable. Yi Tai and Song Huang were smart people. Qinya is already so formidable, as her husband, wouldn't he be even more monstrous? Big brother, I really didn't do it on purpose, it was all his idea that gave me. I was just hot-headed, that's why I did such a foolish thing. Yi Tai pointed at Song Huang and shouted out. Song Huang was also unwilling to give up. Yi Tai, I didn't force you to come, you were the one who wanted to come. Yi Hua waved his hand and said faintly, all right, stop fighting, just enjoy your final moments in this world. Yi Tai shook his head. I am still young, I don't want to die. You can't kill me, I am the son of an aristocratic family. If you kill me, my father won't let you off, Voidless Realm won't let you off as well. Yi Tai couldn't help but threaten Yi Hua. Right now, this is the only way for me to survive. Yi Hua let out a breath, then said faintly, I forgot to tell you too, I still have a wife, her name is Dongwang Baiji, and she is precisely your empress. Just now, I was even hugging her to sleep. Yi Tai and Song Huang opened their eyes wide, their faces filled with disbelief. How can the empress be this man's woman? Therefore, don't use your small Yi family to threaten me. With just a flick of my cigarette ash, your Yi family will be annihilated. Yi Hua flicked the cigarette ash and said slowly. Song Huang suddenly recalled what happened tonight. No wonder those people would respect Qinya so much. No wonder those people from Voidless Realm want to sit beside that woman. Because even the Empress is my woman, and that woman definitely knows the Empress. Thinking up to here, Song Huang's entire body felt powerless, as if he was about to collapse. After Yi Hua finished smoking the cigarette, he stepped on the cigarette and extinguished it. All right, are there any other threats? I can destroy all of your threats one by one. Even if the Empress is your wife, you still won't be able to dominate the entire cultivation world. There is still Ing family in the south. Yi Tai roared out angrily, wanting to use this method to increase his confidence. However, it was completely useless. Yi Hua said lightly, Ing family's Ing Jingshan is already my subordinate. Do you think that Ing family would rashly attack Voidless Realm? Without my permission, do you think that they would dare to attack Voidless Realm? Looking at how easily Yi Hua described Voidless Realm, Yi Tai didn't want to believe what Yi Hua said, but from the bottom of his heart, he believed what Yi Hua said. This demon. He actually ordered his subordinate to attack Voidless Realm, which is his wife. This demon is simply inhumane. All of your movements are within my grasp. Do you still have any other threats? I will give you a chance to threaten me. Yi Tai's body became unstable and fell onto the ground. All of this is fake. All of this is fake. Right now, Song Huang's head was buzzing. If what this man said is true, then the entire cultivation world is within his grasp. I might as well give you two a piece of news for free. Ji family was exterminated by me. Chapter 336. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. I can only act cool in front of the two salted fishes. When will I be able to say something like this in a big scene? That kind of scene would definitely be very exciting. The two of them thought that they were in control of the entire situation, but in actuality, they were just playthings that I, the Supreme Overlord, was holding on to. I am really looking forward to that day. I will remember this debt of Yi family first. I am a stingy person, I will slowly settle it with them in the future. Looking at the two lifeless people in front of him, Yihua lightly tapped on the ground with his finger, and tree roots could actually be seen growing out of the two's legs. It grew out of the flesh and blood, then stabbed into the ground. Ah! Branches and leaves sprouted from their bodies. These were formed from the blood of their meridians. The pain was unimaginable, but they didn't faint at all. Instead, they could clearly feel it. Yihua slowly turned his body around. You all actually dared to touch my woman? I shall bestow upon you the most painful punishment. As Yihua's figure disappeared, two trees appeared on the scene. Yi Tai and Song Huang did not die. They looked at the world around them and wanted to let out a blood-curdling scream. However, they could not do so. This was even more painful than death. Furthermore, every time a leaf fell or a branch broke, it would be a cruel torture. After all, the leaves and branches were their flesh and blood. As long as the heavens and earth were not destroyed, they could only watch on. Perhaps if there was a fire, they could be freed. After returning back to the bed, Yihua continued to hug onto the Empress who was in his embrace, and his hands were lightly rubbing onto her body. Sob, sob, sobbed Donghuang Baiji, who was in her sleep, let out a moan. Soon after, she turned over and leaned onto Yihua's bosom, then stretched out her hands and hugged onto Yihua's body. Looking at the Empress, who looked just like a cat, Yihua laughed lightly and lightly hugged onto the Empress. He gradually fell into a deep sleep. However, tonight, Yihua had a bad dream, because the two women quarreled with him again. How is this possible? Where did they get the courage to quarrel with her? Yihua! Yihua, wake up! Donghuang Baiji's urging voice rang out beside Yihua's ears. Yihua slowly opened his eyes, and what entered his eyes was the beautiful Donghuang Baiji. The Empress actually put on makeup today. With Donghuang Baiji's appearance, even if she did not put on makeup, she would still be extremely beautiful. However, after putting on makeup, although it could not be said to be the icing on the cake, it could still slightly embellish her appearance. However, it had a different kind of flavor, and Yihua liked it very much. Furthermore, the Empress was dressed very stylishly today. She was wearing a floral dress, revealing her pure white jade-like arms. Her jet-black hair was tied up behind her head. She was dressed like a married person. Looking at the current Donghuang Baiji, Yihua said, "Who are you trying to seduce?" Donghuang Baiji said petulantly, "Isn't it because I'm trying to give you face?" Comfortable, these words sounded comfortable. Without any hesitation, Yihua went downstairs, pressed Donghuang Baiji onto the bed, and kissed her madly. "My lipstick is ruined." Donghuang Baiji pushed Yihua away and said with a red face, "Apply more." With that, he kissed her. Donghuang Baiji gave Yihua a sweet kiss, then said, "Stop messing around, something strange happened last night." However, Yihua still hugged onto Donghuang Baiji and asked, "What's wrong?" Last night, Voidless Realm was going to announce the 6th aristocratic family in the north. However, a situation occurred, and this situation is rather thorny. Donghuang Baiji also wanted Yihua to help her think of an idea. After all, this matter had already happened a long time ago, and after she got a man, Donghuang Baiji's reliance on Yihua became a bit too heavy. Yihua asked curiously, "What problem?" Donghuang Baiji told Yihua about what happened, and Yihua finally understood. So it turns out that this ancient godly item is related to a case that happened 100 years ago. Interesting. This is too interesting. I am interested in this Tang family. I shall give you all a chance then, do your best to act in this drama. Baiji, getting this ancient godly item is all fate. Furthermore, this is a matter that happened 100 years ago, we shouldn't let the people of the current generation bear this burden. Donghuang Baiji raised her head and looked towards her husband, then asked tenderly, "Yihua, you mean to let Tang family be chosen? Since you all have a rule that as long as a family possesses an ancient godly item, if you don't allow it now, you would be breaking your promise. After that, who would care about the origin of your ancient godly item?" There was nothing wrong with what Yihua said. On the surface, he was doing this for Voidless Realm's prestige, but in the dark, he was preparing to support Tang family. Dong Wang Baiji felt that what Yi Hua said was very reasonable. Voidless realm cannot break their promise. I understand. Dong Wang Baiji smiled tenderly. Why aren't you thanking your husband? Yi Hua lifted onto the Empress's chin and said faintly. Dong Wang Baiji took a charming look at the man, then pounced onto Yi Hua, looking like she was going to forcefully kiss him. I, the Supreme Overlord, like such a strong woman. After the warm moment in the morning, the two walked out of the door. Right now, Yi Hua was no longer bound by the crutch, and he looked as if he had completely recovered. Just now, when Yi Hua saw the message that Qin Yi sent over, he laughed lightly and replied with a "I love you." Of course, there was also the video that Qin Yutong sent over. Today was the registration day for Yi Zizi. Yi Hua and Dong Wang Baiji accompanied Yi Zizi together. Yi Hua was worried that Yi Zizi would cause trouble, and Dong Wang Baiji was concerned about Yi Zizi. After all, Yi Zizi was her husband's cousin. Dong dong dong. Yi Hua knocked on Qin Yutong's door. Dong dong dong. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. This Yi Zizi couldn't have run away, right? Yi Hua directly pushed open the door and entered the room. When he saw Yi Zizi, who was lying on the bed without a care for her image, Yi Hua let out a sigh of relief. If you run away today, I will spank your butt until it becomes swollen. Yi Zizi was very sad. Yesterday night, when I saw the video that Qin Yutong sent over, I felt very envious. While they are acting cool outside, I have to go and get tortured. I am not willing to accept this. What time is it now? Why aren't you getting up? Yi Hua shouted gravely. Dong Wang Baiji pulled onto Yi Hua's arm. She is just a child, what is she shouting for? It is normal for her to sleep late. After finished speaking, Dong Wang Baiji went to wake Yi Zizi up. Whoa, I don't want to wake up, I don't want to go to school, I want to go out and play, I want to play games. Yi Zizi was only pretending to be asleep. Her four limbs were slapping the blanket, and half of her spotlessly white butt was revealed. Dong Wang Baiji hurriedly covered her butt and said, Zizi, everyone has to go to school. Big cousin has never gone to school before. Yi Zizi said angrily. Wei Chang and the others don't want to go to school, so why do I have to go to school? Yi Hua's gaze turned cold as he shouted gravely, even if you don't want to go to school today, you still have to go to school today. If not, scram with me. Yi Zizi cried out and hugged onto Dong Wang Baiji, sister-in-law, look at big cousin, he is bullying me again. Dong Wang Baiji rolled her eyes at Yi Hua. However, since Yi Hua is playing the bad cop, I will play the good cop. Alright, your big cousin is doing this for your own good. Get up, if not, even sister-in-law will not be able to stop your big cousin. Yi Zizi knew that she wouldn't be able to run away, unless she really scram with Yi Hua. However, she didn't want to scram with Yi Hua, and thus, she could only go to school. Chapter 337. Yi Hua walked out of the room, then went to the bar counter and poured himself a cup of wine. Not long after, Dong Wang Baiji came out with Yi Zizi, who had a gloomy look on her face. Today, Yi Zizi was meticulously dressed up by Dong Wang Baiji. Yi Zizi was wearing a pink princess dress, a ponytail that was tied with a big butterfly knot, and she was even wearing a pair of extremely long white socks. These are white silk socks, right? With a pair of pink leather shoes on her feet, she looked like a little princess from a fairy tale, or a character from a two-dimensional world. Seeing that Yi Hua was secretly drinking wine, Dong Wang Baiji advised, don't drink wine on an empty stomach. Yi Hua kept the wine bottle and hugged onto his wife's waist. Yi Hua had a look of, this woman is mine, you guys can just go ahead and be envious of her. Yi Zizi was very depressed as she was being held by Dong Wang Baiji. My depraved life is going to end soon. In the future, I still have to sleep early and wake up early. To a lazy person like me, this is simply torture. It was still the same Audi A8. The Empress was driving, Yi Hua was sitting at the side, and Yi Zizi was sitting at the back seat with a face full of melancholy. Yi Zizi was swinging her legs in boredom, and her scarlet-red eyes were looking left and right. "Give me a dozen of these cute lolas." Yihua pointed to a fried dough stick stall at the roadside. "Baiji, let's stop for breakfast first." "Yes." After parking the car, the three of them got out to have breakfast. Most people thought that they were a family of three. The man was handsome, the woman was beautiful, and the child was a lowly. This family's appearance was almost out of the sky. "Boss, give me 5 fried dough sticks and 3 bowls of porridge first." Yihua shouted towards the boss. From the looks of it, the boss was also a regular customer. "All right, wait a moment. I'll blow it up for you right away." The three sat down. Donghuang Baiji wiped her chopsticks and placed them beside Yihua. When all the fried dough sticks were served, Yihua soaked the fried dough sticks in the congee, then ate it. Yihua felt great. Then, he ate a mouthful of pickled vegetables. Donghuang Baiji's table manners were much more elegant, just like Qinya. Yizizi was so angry that she couldn't eat anymore. "You are still throwing a tantrum?" Yihua said while looking at Yizizi. "Big cousin, I can go to school, but I have a request," Yizizi pouted and said. "What?" "I want to buy a Ferrari." Yihua, looking at Yizizi's expression, Yihua laughed lightly. "Can I buy a plane for you?" "No, I want a Ferrari." "I'll buy you an aircraft carrier." "No, I want the Ferrari. I, the Supreme Overlord, don't even have a car, and all of the money that I won was taken by Qinya. I will give you 700 renminbi for your living expenses for a week, and this time, when Qinya comes back, I will definitely have a family meeting. At the very least, I have to give her half of the money that I won. I shouldn't have given all of it to Qinya. All right, after you finish registering, I will bring you to buy a Ferrari." Yihua said faintly. Yizizi was delighted. "Really?" Yihua nodded his head. "You actually believe my words? You are too young." Donghuang Baiji did not say anything. How could Yihua possibly have the money to buy a car? The reason why Donghuang Baiji and I cut off her husband's source of income wasn't because we wanted to save money, we just wanted Yihua to go out and have a walk, and not stay at home all day. Inyu Elementary School was one of the key elementary schools in the city. It was said that the entrance exam questions were very difficult, and even some adults couldn't answer them. Today was the registration day, and there were a lot of parents who brought their children to the school, and all of them were dressed up beautifully. Donghuang Baiji parked the car not far away, and the three of them walked over. Yihua took out a cigarette and lit it up. Donghuang Baiji asked faintly, "Yihua, where did you get this cigarette from?" I picked it up from the bar counter in the morning." Yihua suddenly had an idea. Donghuang Baiji stretched out her hand, and Yihua helplessly passed the cigarette to the Empress. "You are already preparing to have a child, don't smoke." Donghuang Baiji persuaded. Yihua was also very vexed. What does smoking have to do with giving birth to a child? Isn't Ali still smart? This is just a precaution. In my eyes, there is no what if. Yihua said disdainfully. Looking at Yihua who was smoking, Donghuang Baiji decided not to argue anymore, because the Yihua who is smoking, this world is already his. Just like the other parents, the mother was holding on to the child, and the father was sizing up the place. Yihua was the same as well. This school is just SOSO, I hope that Yizizi will be able to pass the test. The trio attracted a lot of people's attention. This was a combination of good looks. The whole family was so outstanding. A lot of children were looking at Yizizi. Such a cute girl, I must chase after her. Following the documents that Lai Gu provided, Yihua found the teaching director. This teaching director was very honest, and respectfully brought Yihua to the classroom. Yihua received his textbook, school bag, and school uniform. Yizizi helplessly carried her heavy school bag and was unhappy. The boys in the surrounding classes all ran over to look at Yizizi, and the boys in Yizizi's class were even more excited. I didn't expect that there would be a new student in my class. She is so cute. The girls also revealed envious expressions. She is so cute. Class monitor, this girl is so cute, she is even cuter than the prettiest girl in our class. A child in the classroom said to the class monitor. The class monitor was called Lu Chuanfeng. He was a very awesome primary school student, and beside him was his little brother, Wang Ji. Lu Chuanfeng had already noticed Yi Zizi long ago, and he was even more attracted by Yi Zizi's beauty. She is even more beautiful than his big sisters. Let's talk about it when school starts tomorrow. Lu Chuanfeng said deeply. He did not look like a child at all, and his expression looked more like that of an adult. That's right, Lu Chuanfeng's body was indeed that of an adult. It was just that he had reincarnated into the body of a child, causing him to feel very depressed. The pain was short and powerless. Yi Zizi looked at the primary school students in the classroom and wished that she could kill them all. Mr. Yi, the procedures have been completed. Just bring the child to school tomorrow, the dean said politely. Up until now, Yi Zizi's performance has been pretty good, and she did not cause any trouble for me. After Yi Zizi left, everyone in the class started to talk about this new student. She's so cute, I like those two ponytails back in the car. Yi Zizi put down her bag and said, I want a Ferrari. Baiji, bring her to buy a Ferrari. Yi Hua said faintly. Dong Huang Baiji was helpless. This fellow will definitely have to fork out his own money. However, Dong Huang Baiji was wrong, and Yi Zizi was also wrong. Looking at the bicycle shop in front of him, Yi Hua said faintly, pick one yourself. When the time comes, big cousin will carve the 3 words Ferrari on your bicycle. The corner of Yi Zizi's mouth twitched violently. Then, she pouted and said, big cousin. You're lying. You still want a Ferrari? Do you have a driver's license? Your height won't even be as high as the steering wheel. Yi Hua shouted out coldly. This is too outrageous, not as obedient as my daughter. Just how did I bring her up in the past, to let her develop so many bad habits? Chapter 338. Dong Huang Baiji didn't know what to say anymore. Then get the hell out of here. Whoa, if Zizi doesn't get lost, I want the Ferrari. Yi Hua stared at Yi Zizi coldly, and the latter shrunk her head. His honor is angry. Yi Hua, enough, why are you scaring Zizi? Dong Huang Baiji interceded for Yi Zizi. When Yi Hua put on a stern face, it was rather scary. You are really lacking discipline. In the future, when we take the bus, there is nothing to discuss. After finished speaking, Yi Hua pulled Dong Huang Baiji and left. Yi Zizi shouted out in her heart. His honor is a scoundrel, stingy, jealous king, pretentious king, bullying a child, shameless. After returning back, Yi Zizi heavily closed the door. This was her way of expressing her rebellion. Meanwhile, Yi Hua shouted towards Yi Zizi who was in the room, either you go to school tomorrow, or you run away from home tomorrow. Dong Huang Baiji said tenderly, all right Yi Hua, stop scolding the child. You are asking for a beating. Yi Hua said angrily. Within the entire 7 sins, only Yi Zizi was mischievous. Yi Zizi threw off the shoes on her feet, then sat on the bed while hugging onto the pillow. Yi Zizi continuously scolded his honor, thinking that the previous his honor was the best. It must be said, the little loli who was sitting on the bed was much more tasteful, her body was soft and easy to push down. Although her legs weren't long, they were very tasteful. Yi Zizi decided, I am not going to school even if I am beaten to death. I am going to leave home, I am not going to play with his honor anymore. The next morning, at 6 a.m., Yi Zizi was woken up by the alarm. Rubbing her hazy big eyes, it has been a long time since I woke up so early. After washing up, Yi Zizi wore a brand new school uniform, carried her school bag, and left the house. Yi Hua stood on the window sill of the bedroom, hugged onto the Empress and said faintly, you are quite sensible. Yi Hua, I still want to sleep. The Empress said sweetly while caressing onto Yi Hua's chest. Hearing the Empress's request, Yi Hua would naturally satisfy it. Yi Zizi kicked the pebbles on the road, feeling very depressed. However, Yi Zizi who was wearing the blue school uniform was rather cute. If she was wearing a red scarf, she would be even more outstanding. Zizi, you are going to school. An aunt who was selling pancakes greeted Zizi. Zizi nodded silently. She didn't seem to like communicating with others, but when she saw the pancake, she licked the corner of her mouth. You haven't had breakfast yet, right? Auntie will make you a pancake. Zizi took out the money and found that it was 2 yuan for the bus fare and lunch. She didn't even have pocket money. Zizi, the poorest of the 7 deadly sins in history. The middle-aged woman seemed to know what Zizi was thinking and said generously, I won't charge you. Hearing that, Zizi immediately became happy. She revealed a smile, but she still didn't say anything, as if she had a language disorder. If Yihua were to find out that the aunt was giving Zizi free food, he would definitely come over to argue with Yihua. Why can't I, the supreme overlord, do it for free? Zizi was in a much better mood as she held the piping hot fruit pancake in her hand. She skipped toward the bus stop. There were still many people waiting for the bus. The pancakes made by the auntie were really delicious. Zizi got on the bus while eating her pancake and stuffed 1 yuan into the driver's pocket. As the bus moved forward, the number of people on the bus increased. Zizi sat in her seat and looked out of the window. Little friend, hurry up and give me your seat. A middle-aged woman with a wavy hairstyle said to Zizi. Her tone was very domineering. Zizi turned to look at the woman, then looked out the window. Ah! Little friend, you are very impolite. Everyone, quickly come and take a look. Upon seeing that, the middle-aged woman immediately started using all kinds of moral coercion on Zizi. Zizi's face was very tense. She really wanted to slap the middle-aged woman who was making noise in front of her to death. In actuality, Zizi's patience wasn't that good. As long as the enemy used a bit of provocation, Zizi would fall for it. At this time, an old man stood out and said, How can you be like this? You are so young, yet you are already taking advantage of your seniority. You have hands and feet, yet you are still bullying an immature child. After being said by the old man, the middle-aged woman seemed to be embarrassed. Furthermore, the surrounding people were also discussing spiritedly. In the past, I used this trick every time I used it, but today, it doesn't work anymore. In actuality, Zizi's forbearing look, in the eyes of other people, looked like she was helpless. She looked very pitiful, and no one had the heart to scold this little girl. Old man, what does this have to do with you? If you have the ability, why don't you ask her to give you her seat? The middle-aged woman was unconvinced and appeared to be very sharp and unkind. Zizi suddenly stood up and pulled onto the old man. The meaning behind her action was very obvious. The old man smiled kindly and said, No need, Grandpa's body is great. Zizi shook her head and pointed to the seat. With a smile on his face, the old man sat down and said to the middle-aged woman, Look at this child. Why is she so impolite? But you are the one who is impolite. The middle-aged woman was slapped in the face by her own words, and she felt extremely embarrassed. When the bus stopped, she got off the bus. Zizi used her brain. If Yihua knew about this, he would definitely be very gratified. Don't think that this is just a small matter of giving up her seat. If it was used in other places, the effect would be extraordinary. Yihua's goal could be considered to have been achieved. Little friend, where are you going? Seeing that Zizi was wearing a school uniform, the old man asked curiously. Zizi had a bit of a favorable impression towards this old man, in Yu Elementary School. The old man went into a daze and said hurriedly, Little friend, you are taking the wrong bus. You are taking the 118 bus. Oh. Zizi replied indifferently. So it turns out that I took the wrong bus. Should I be anxious? Or should I be sad? I might as well skip school. That should be very happy. Seeing that Zizi's behavior was different from other children, the old man asked concernedly, You don't know how to get to school? Zizi shook her head. Where are your father and mother? Zizi shook her head. My own parents? They should be dead, right? The old man was also very worried and decided to send Zizi to school. After arriving at the bus stop, the old man brought Yizizi to the correct bus. Yizizi felt that the old man was very strange. Why does he care about my matters? Does he not need to do anything? He is so bored. Half an hour later, they arrived at a new elementary school. Right now, it was already 7:50 p.m., and the gates of the school were all closed. Yizizi was late for the first day of school. What are you guys doing? The security guard at the entrance shouted out. The old man smiled and said, the child took the wrong bus, that's why he is late. The security guard looked at Yizizi, who had a cold expression on her face. Since she is wearing a school uniform, she should be from this school. Go in, don't be late next time. The old man smiled and said to Yizizi, quickly go in. Yizizi wrinkled her brows, as if she was making a difficult choice. Thank you. After saying that, Yizizi ran into the school. Chapter 339. In actuality, Yizizi was still affected by Dong Huangli. Dong Huangli was very polite. Even when they were playing games, Dong Huangli would still say, I'm sorry, I'm going to kill you. Or, thank you for letting me kill you. Therefore, the current environment made Yizizi feel different. Thinking back to the past, in that kind of environment, it was a competition to see who could kill more people, and the topic was always blood. Carrying her school bag, Yizizi walked on the small path of the school. The students upstairs looked at her curiously. At this time, she was not in the classroom, but outside. Wasn't she afraid of being scolded by the teacher? Yizizi, on the other hand, didn't mind and walked toward her class. Yizizi noticed a woman speaking at the podium. She ignored her and walked into the classroom, sitting in the last row of the classroom. All the students stared at Yizizi with their mouths agape. How awesome! She didn't even put the form teacher in her eyes and directly walked in. Teacher Ma was an outstanding primary school teacher, but in his more than 20 years of teaching, this was the first time he had seen such an arrogant student. This was only the second grade of primary school. If they were in junior high or senior high school, it would be amazing. Moreover, this child is so beautiful. I must pull her towards the right path and not take any detours. Class president, this girl is so strong. She's not even afraid of the homeroom teacher, Wang Qi secretly said to Lu Chuanfeng with a look of admiration. Lu Chuanfeng didn't feel anything. After all, he had the mind of an adult in his body. He said, yes, very powerful. Yizizi stuffed her bag into the drawer, then rested her chin on her hands and waited for school to end. Teacher Ma kept staring at Yizizi, seemingly wanting to intimidate her with his aura so that she would become obedient. However, Yizizi didn't feel anything at all. She was still yawning. Teacher Ma is very angry. There has never been a student who can escape my deep gaze. Classmate Yizizi. Hearing someone calling her name, Yizizi looked at the woman on the podium and realized that the woman was staring at her. Was he provoking him? As his honor's subordinate, how can I be afraid of a challenge? Yizizi glared at him, and Mr. Ma took a step back. What a powerful little girl. He had been in the profession for more than 20 years, yet he was frightened by the little girl's eyes today. How infuriated. Yizizi, today is the first day of school. Why are you late? Teacher Ma changed his strategy and questioned. Yizizi didn't say anything. She didn't want to talk to anyone. The teacher is asking you a question. Teacher Ma shouted. Yizizi still didn't say anything. She was still sleeping on the table. This infuriated Teacher Ma. Call your parents over. I've never seen such a child before. It's too infuriating. Yizizi still did not have any reaction. After using all kinds of tricks, Teacher Ma walked to Yizizi with a gloomy face. Yizizi. Yizizi. No reaction, this stubborn brat. Teacher Ma hurriedly went to find the phone number of the child's parents. He had to talk to them. Right now, Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji had just woken up. Right after brushing their teeth, Yi Hua received a call from his teacher. Baiji, I will make a trip to school. Yihua said gravely. This is the first day, and you are already being dishonest. Donghuang Baiji was currently washing up, and when she heard that Yihua was going to school, she thought to herself that it was definitely because of Yizizi. Yihua, wait for me, let's go together. Donghuang Baiji was still worried, and she felt that it would be better for her to tag along with them. The two of them didn't even eat breakfast and directly rushed to the school. In the office, Teacher Ma stared at Yizizi while Yizizi looked out of the window with a worried look. At this moment, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji rushed over. When Yihua saw Yizizi's attitude, his anger soared. To actually go against the Supreme Overlord, Yihua's guts were getting bigger and bigger. Yizizi, see if I don't beat you to death today. After speaking, Yihua immediately rushed forward. The surrounding teachers were all stupefied by Yihua's attitude. This is not an act, this is for real. To even be able to help a child like that, you are completely inhumane. Donghuang Baiji pulled onto Yihua. Yihua, no matter how immature Zizi is, you still can't hit him. Baiji, let go of me. Today, I will definitely beat this fellow to death. Yihua shouted out angrily. Yizizi appeared to be very scared. She retreated to the corner of the wall and trembled. Originally, he wanted to talk to the parent, but he didn't expect the parent to be even more violent. No wonder the child's personality was like that. He was afraid of being beaten up. Don't be agitated. In fact, Yizizi didn't do anything. She was just late today, Teacher Ma hurriedly comforted. Yihua went into a daze. Not only did he not ease up, he even said coldly, Yizizi, you dare to be late. What did I teach you? You must have a sense of time. Today, I will definitely beat you to death. Thinking back, Yizizi would often be late to battles. The reason for that was because she had overslept and didn't have a sense of time at all. Facing his honor's anger, Yizizi shrunk into a corner and looked very pitiful. Teacher Ma turned pale with fright. I didn't expect that a small amount of being late would make him so angry. Wouldn't Yizizi be beaten to death when she returns to school? Don't be angry, student Yizizi had already explained just now. Last night, she revised until very late, and today, she even helped an old granny to cross the road, which is why she was late. She is a good child, she is worthy of praise. Teacher Ma's attitude really changed 180 degrees. Yihua looked at Yizizi, seemingly asking if what the teacher said was true or not. Yizizi nodded her head fearfully. All right, let go of me. Yihua said to Donghuang Baiji who was beside him. Donghuang Baiji was helpless. I didn't expect that Yihua's attitude towards Yizizi would be so explosive. Yihua looked at Teacher Ma who was in front of him and said faintly, if Yizizi dares to act recklessly in school, give me a call, I will go back tonight and properly take care of her. Teacher Ma's expression stiffened as he persuaded that hitting a child won't solve the problem. If you don't hit her, she won't learn her lesson. I will remember it. After finished speaking, Yihua left with Donghuang Baiji. All of the teachers who were present let out a breath of relief. This parent's temper is too big, we are really worried for this child. This child is so adorable, it is possible that there are injuries all over her body. Teacher Ma sighed, Yizizi, go back to class. Yizizi did not say anything and silently walked out of the office. This is so boring, his honor's acting skills are too weak, he looked like he was going to hit me, but he was held back by sister-in-law. This is too fake. However, this is also good, that Teacher Ma won't casually complain about me in the future. Yihua who was sitting back in the car was very angry. Yizizi is too unruly. Yihua, what happened today? Why are you so angry today? Donghuang Baiji was very puzzled. Yihua sighed lightly, nothing much, let's go back home. Seeing that Yihua wasn't willing to talk about it, Donghuang Baiji didn't continue asking. She felt that Yihua had quite a lot of secrets on him. She wanted to ask about it, but she was afraid that Yihua would get angry. Meanwhile, Qinya who was far away in Zijin City was very puzzled. Regarding the auction that night, everyone's attitude was suspicious, especially Xiao Yi. That attitude of his was completely filled with unwillingness. Chapter 340. These 2 days, Qingye and her sister had been accompanying their mother and did not go out at all. Meanwhile, after Chu Bai sent the 2 ladies back that night, he immediately returned to the Chu family. He reported the scandal of Yi Tai and Song Huang to the Chu family. The Chu family was furious. They didn't expect that Yi Tai and Song Huang would actually surround and kill their son. For this kind of matter, justice must be sought. Yi family naturally wouldn't believe such a one-sided story. Thus, Yi family sent people to look for Yi Tai and Song Huang. However, up till now, Yi Tai and Song Huang were still not found. Within Qing family's villa, Qing Yutong was currently hugging onto Dong Huangli, and the 2 of them were currently watching Happy Home. It was fine that Dong Huangli was focused, but Qing Yutong was the same as well. From time to time, Qing Yutong and Dong Huangli would discuss the plot of the movie and which sheep would be eaten first. Qingye sat at the side and pondered. Yutong, did you contact Sage Doctor? Wang Muqing asked tenderly. Qing Yutong smiled. Mom, why would Sage Doctor take a fancy to me? He has not contacted me for a long time. Silly child, if he doesn't contact you, you can contact him. Qing Yutong immediately became speechless. My mother is so snobbish. Zihan asked, Yeah, are you in contact with Qin Xuanzong? Qingye couldn't come back to her senses. Yeah, Zihan called out. Mom? What's wrong? Qingye came back to her senses and asked. Just now, she was thinking about something. Zihan sighed. What are you thinking about? Oh, nothing. What's wrong? Have you met with Qin Xuanzong? Zihan asked. Qingye wrinkled her brows. From the looks of it, my mother has taken a fancy to Qin Xuanzong. Mother, I am a married woman. Is it all right for you to do this? Zihan sighed helplessly. The 2 mothers looked at each other, and their eyes were full of depression. Standing up, Qingye said lightly, I will go and buy a roast duck. Yutong, do you want to go with me? Qing Yutong was not interested in buying roast duck. Not going, you can go by yourself. Ali, are you going? Qingye asked. Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, Ali won't go. All right, since the 2 of you aren't going, I will go by myself then. Qingye appeared to be depressed, but in actuality, she was smiling in her heart. This is a move of retreating in order to advance. After all, they were Yi Hua's eyes. Just now, if I were to directly say it out, Qing Yutong would definitely be doubtful. Thus, I decided to ask first, and let my little sister let down her guard. Sure enough. Qingye did not change her clothes. Wearing a t-shirt and jeans, she casually took a car key and left the house. Qing Yutong, this 007, did not fulfill his duty. Because Qingye planned to pay a visit to Xiao family, she wanted to know why Xiao Yi suddenly returned the money. In actuality, this question had been perplexing Qingye for a very long time. When Xiao Yi appeared respectfully, Qingye became even more curious. Since Yi Hua isn't willing to tell me, I'll just go and ask him myself. Due to Qing Yutong's negligence, the originally tranquil family's disturbance once again seemed to be stirred up. Qingye drove a BMW 740 and headed straight towards Xiao family. 40 minutes later, Qingye stopped the car outside of Xiao mansion. Looking at this Xiao mansion, Qingye was rather shocked. This Xiao mansion sure is imposing. Yi Hua is much more low profile. Yi Hua had gotten used to it, and that was why he decided to change his taste. Miss, what's the matter? The guard at the entrance of the Xiao mansion asked. Qingye said faintly, I am looking for Xiao Yi. I dare to name you, Mississippi, Qingye. Miss, please wait a moment. As he spoke, the guard went to register and soon returned. Xiao Yi himself also came out to greet him. CEO Qing. Xiao Yi smiled and greeted. CEO Xiao. Qinya smiled gently. Xiao Yi hurriedly invited Qinya into the house. The two of them walked into the courtyard of Xiao Mansion, and while listening to the sound of flowing water, Qinya said, "CEO Xiao, the environment here is really unique." "It's all right, these are all the masterpieces of the wives." Xiao Yi followed beside Qinya. If one were to observe carefully, Xiao Yi's attitude was that of accompanying Qinya, and not that of a master. Even Qinya was able to sense this point. CEO Xiao is so fortunate to have so many wives. Qinya smiled and said. "Fortunately, Yihua isn't like this." Xiao Yi said, "This Zhao's luck is rather good to be able to obtain their love." CEO Qing, how about we go inside and have a cup of tea? Qinya nodded her head. Soon after, the two of them arrived at the main hall. Shu Nan personally brewed tea and served it, and when Xiao Yi's wives found out that Qinya had come, they all came out to greet Qinya. The topic of conversation revolved around the trivial matters of the family, and Xiao Yi was curious about the meaning behind Qinya's sudden visit. Looking at Yu Qi's bulging belly, Qinya said to Xiao Yi, "Congratulations to CEO Xiao for becoming a father." Xiao Yi was naturally happy. This child is very mischievous." Qinya touched her belly, and this action of hers was seen by Shu Nan. "CEO Qing is pregnant?" Qinya appeared to be very happy as she nodded her head slightly. "That's right, I have been pregnant for a few months already. It was only recently that my belly had a big reaction." "Congratulations to CEO Qing, I wish that you will be blessed with a child." "Same to you," Qinya said courteously. When the topic of conversation reached here, everyone seemed to be a bit awkward and didn't know what to say. Meanwhile, Qinya discovered a strange matter. Why is Nangong Sini missing from Xiao Yi's wives? "CEO Xiao, where did Madame Nangong go? Why don't I see her?" When Qinya said that, the expressions of Xiao Yi and his wives froze. Qinya was very sensitive right now, and she immediately discovered the strangeness in their expressions. Could it be that something happened to Nangong Sini? Suddenly, a female servant appeared with a child. "Daddy, let's go and play football." The child was precisely Xiao Yi's son, Xiao Yun. Xiao Yi revealed out a loving smile. "Yun, there is a guest at home, this is Aunt Qing." Xiao Yun was very courteous as he shouted towards Qinya, "Hello, Aunt Qing. This child looks really good." Qinya asked with a smile, "Whose child is this?" Shu Nan said with a smile, "This is big sister Nangong's child." Qinya waved her hand, and Xiao Yun walked in front of Qinya. "I feel that this aunt in front of me is really beautiful." "Little fellow, where did your mother go?" Qinya asked curiously. Xiao Yun's little face collapsed. "Daddy said that mommy went out on a business trip, and it will be a long time before she comes back." After finished speaking, Xiao Yun immediately missed his mother. He pounced into his father's embrace and shouted, "Daddy, Yun misses mommy. Can you bring me to see mommy?" The corner of Xiao Yi's mouth slightly trembled, and his complexion was very abnormal. "Yu Qi, bring Yun down to sleep," Xiao Yi said gravely. Xiao Yun immediately started bawling loudly, clamoring for his mother. Only after a few maids came over and carried Xiao Yun away did the bawling sound not stop. Right now, Qinya was very sure that something happened to Nangong Sini, and Xiao Yi had sealed this matter. "CEO Xiao, actually, I came here today because I have a matter that I want to ask you," Qinya said. Xiao Yi nodded his head. Qinya asked faintly, "That 50 billion from back then, why did you suddenly return it?" "Why did you return it?" The memories of everyone in Xiao family were pulled back to that night. Facing against the incomparably valiant skeleton, what else could they do? Not only did they have to return the money, they also had to return a life. To Xiao Yi, the blow that night was too heavy. His beloved was forced to death by the skeleton, and what was laughable was that in the end, he still went to beg them, and even helped his enemy. Thinking about such a matter, Xiao Yi clenched his fists tightly, and spiritual energy gradually spread out from his body. At the same time, spiritual energy was also emitted out from his body. Cough, cough, cough. Shu Nan lightly coughed a few times, reminding her husband to be careful. Chapter 341. Xiao Yi gradually retracted his fierce aura, but from Qingya's point of view, this was all an act. Even the words that he was going to say later were all fake. CEO Qing, regarding the matter last time, this Xiao is sorry. I did not fulfill my promise in time. This Xiao is ashamed. I hope that CEO Qing can be magnanimous enough to forgive me. With that, Xiao Yi even stood up and cupped his hands, expressing his apology. My money is gone, my beloved wife was forced to death, I still have to be ordered by the enemy, and now, I still have to apologize for this matter. What is going on with this world? Qingya was originally just curious, wanting to see what kind of tricks Yihua played to make those people who looked down on her change their temperament. Of course, she was happy in her heart. After all, Yihua did it all for her, not letting her get hurt or be looked down upon by others. Having a husband who cared about her like this, Qingya felt that she was very happy. But from the looks of it now, the matter doesn't seem to be that simple. Thinking of Yihua's strength, could it be that he used violence? The Xiao family had used violence, and the others had been frightened. Qingya didn't want to continue asking, because she was afraid of finding out some bad things. After all, the awakening of her bloodline made her have a strange pity or benevolence. This Queen Yua's duty was to protect the common people. She wouldn't be soft-hearted towards evil, but towards the weak, she would feel pity. Thus, Qingya didn't want to continue asking. She stood up and said with a smile, CEO Xiao must be joking, that is all in the past. I still have some matters at home, I won't disturb you anymore. CEO Qing, I will send you out. Xiao Yi forced a smile and said. Qingya nodded her head. However, just as Qingya was about to leave, Yu Qi suddenly knelt on the ground and begged, CEO Qing, please save our Xiao family. A pregnant woman knelt on the ground and begged. This made Qingya, who was preparing to leave, change her expression. Just what happened to make these people so hesitant? Looking at the panic on their faces, it was as if they had received a huge shock. Yu Qi, what are you doing? Quickly get up. Xiao Yi shouted coldly. Yu Qi's action was no less than self-immolation. The current situation was very clear. Qingya didn't know about those matters at all. If the mastermind was the bar's boss, then he would have concealed it. But with this kneeling, everything would be exposed. Then why did the boss have to conceal it? Wasn't it just because he was afraid that Qingya would know some shady matters? If this matter was exposed, the Xiao family would face terrifying consequences. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan did not dare to continue thinking about it. But what could Yu Qi do? She was just an ordinary woman who was pregnant with a child. During this period of time, she was on tenterhooks, afraid that what happened that night would happen again. It didn't matter if she died. She was worried about her child. As a mother, it wasn't wrong to plead for the life of the child in her womb, right? Yu Qi, get up. Shu Nan tried to persuade her. Stop talking. Yu Qi, who was always on tenterhooks, was actually a bit depressed. She directly kneeled in front of Qingya and grabbed onto Qingya's ankle. CEO Qing, I beg you to spare my child's life, he is innocent. Xiao Yi shouted in a deep voice, bring Yu Qi to her room to rest. All the lovely wives stood up, and suddenly all knelt on the ground, and begged with their tender voices, CEO Qing, please let our Xiao family go. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan were both stunned. Just like Yu Qi, Xiao Yi's other wives were also very worried. They were afraid that something would happen to their husbands. Now that Qingya was here, they had no choice but to try their best. They thought that as long as they begged Qingya, they wouldn't make things difficult for Xiao family. But what they didn't know was that Yihua didn't say anything about this matter, and he didn't plan to say anything. To Yihua at that time, not massacring Xiao family was already very lenient, and he even felt that there was no need to say such a small matter. Looking at the actions of Xiao Yi's wives, Qingya's eyebrows wrinkled deeply. Just what did Yihua do to make them kneel on the ground and beg for mercy? No wonder Xiao Yi's attitude was so good. Now I finally know. All of you, get up. Qingye said gravely. All the lovely wives were crying non-stop. That kind of pressure of living under a haze every day made their hearts hurt. Qingye sat on the chair at the side, while Xiao Yi sat on the main seat with a gloomy face. What else can we do now? We have already been exposed, we can only rely on Qingye now. Just what happened? Qingye asked faintly. Everyone remained silent and looked at Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi took a deep breath, then opened his bloodshot eyes and said, "This matter has to start from that bet." Qingye nodded her head. That is indeed the case. CEO Qing, I didn't want to pay back the money that bet, which was why someone came to my door and fought with me. In the end, I still lost. Not only did I pay back the money, I also paid back a person's life. Xiao Yi said it very casually, but when he thought of his beloved wife's death, his heart felt as if it was being twisted by a knife. Qingye was very shocked and said in disbelief, "A person's life is Nangong Sini's?" Xiao Yi nodded his head. My beloved wife was forced to her death. He said that this was the interest, and he wanted me to choose one of my women to die with. The crying sound of women rang out in the hall. The situation back then was so sad and helpless, and they could only watch helplessly as Nangong Sini fell in front of them. Qingye was very shocked. It is normal to ask for a debt, but to force a person to her death, I am a little unable to tolerate this kind of method. Who is the person that you all are talking about? Qingye's question was a little nervous. Please don't say it is Yihua. Yihua would never do such a heinous thing. Xiao Yi didn't speak carelessly. It is a skeleton that is wearing a black robe. Qingye let out a breath of relief. Fortunately, it is not Yihua. Although my Yihua likes to act cool, he is not to the extent of doing such a thing. There is also a lump of black fog. Yu Qi added. A lump of black fog? Qingye asked puzzledly. Xiao Yi explained, that lump of black fog seems to be the owner of the black robe. Xiao Yi hurriedly shut his mouth. I can't say any more. What happened to them? Qingye asked coldly. They are very strong, but they seem to be obeying someone. Right now, Xiao Yi could only place all of his hopes on Qingye. Even if Xiao Yi didn't say it, Qingye would be able to guess it. After all, Yihua had taken out those transfer agreements back then, and the person behind the black robe should be Yihua. Right now, Qingye's mood was very complicated, and she didn't know what to do. Why would Yihua use such a method to step on someone's debt? Is this still the Yihua that I know? Doesn't he just like to smoke, drink, and brag? Why would he choose to force a woman to her death? What about a mother? Qingye was really unable to understand. Did this black robe do anything else? Qingye asked gravely. Withdrawing from the aristocratic family selection this time was also the black robe's order. Xiao Yi said bluntly. Why don't you talk about the matter of the black robe helping you? Do you know the consequences of this? Chapter 342. I heard that this black gown even did something improper to Cloud Sect Master, causing Cloud Sect Master to be chased out of the sect. When an ancient godly item appeared in the south, the black gown was also present. Illicit affairs? Qingye's expression sunk. Not only did Yihua's subordinate force a mother to death, he even harmed a woman. Is this matter related to Yihua or not? Is it his subordinate's misbehavior, or did he get Yihua's permission? Qingye would rather believe that the black gown was the one who did it, and that Yihua didn't know about it at all. I understand, you guys can be at ease. Qingye seemed to have a lot on her mind, and after finished speaking, she walked out of the hall. Xiao Yi hurriedly followed after her and sent Qingye out. Looking at Qingye leaving, Xiao Yi's thoughts were very complicated. I really don't know if this matter is right or wrong. I feel that Xiao family's fate is hanging in the balance once again. Qingye didn't directly return home. Instead, she bought a roast duck before returning home. Big sister, why did you take so long to buy a roast duck? We are about to starve to death. Qin Yutong hugged onto Dong Huangli and played around. The two mothers shook their heads. They are already so old, yet they are acting like children. Aunt Qin, Ali's stomach is about to shrivel up. Dong Huangli rubbed onto her stomach and said while giggling. Qinya smiled, quickly let Aunt touch your stomach, there was a traffic jam on the road just now, so I was late. Qin Yutong rolled her eyes at her big sister, you already gambled for 2 hours, you couldn't have met your lover, right? Qinya knocked onto her little sister's head, just eat your roast duck. Zihan's eyes shone. Could it be that I went to meet Chen Xuanzong just now? I already bought a roast duck as my name, that's great. Qinya, who returned home, seemed very normal, there wasn't the slightest bit of abnormality. Because right now, Qinya felt that Yi Hua was wronged, he wouldn't do such a thing. However, she didn't dare to question Yi Hua directly, fearing that she would get a different answer. If that happened, she really wouldn't know what to do, this damned bloodline effect. Time passed by just like this, day after day. A week passed by in the blink of an eye. Yi Tai and Song Huang were still nowhere to be found. No one knew where they went. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. This made the Yi family's clan leader, Yi Shao, feel a little uneasy. Meanwhile, Voidless Realm also released the results of the selection, and Voidless Realm allowed Tang family to participate in the selection. This caused Bai family to go crazy from anger. In order to avoid any casualties, Voidless Realm warned Tang family and Bai family that before the results of the election were revealed, fighting was not allowed, and those who violated the rules would be eliminated from the election. To the Tang clan, this was a good thing. But to the Bai clan, it was like adding snow to snow. Originally, Qinya had said that she would be able to go back in a week, but even after Qin Yutong had urged her to go back a few times, Qinya still said that she would be accompanying her parents, and in actuality, Qinya didn't dare to go back. Recently, Yi Zizi had become a lot more well-behaved. Yi Zizi was not late for school, and after school ended, she would go home. Yi Zizi also did not cause any trouble in school. This made Yi Hua rather happy, Yi Zizi had grown up. However, right now, Yi Hua was a bit gloomy. This Qinya doesn't even plan to return to her maiden home. However, with Dong Huang Baiji accompanying Yi Hua every single day, Yi Hua's mood became slightly better. Just that, the plan to give birth to a child has yet to be carried out. Right now, Yi Hua wasn't anxious, but Dong Huang Baiji was anxious. At least twice a day, she would ask Yi Hua, when are we going to have a child? Yi Hua was very smug. Look at how the Empress is begging for a child right now, yet I, the Supreme Overlord, refuse to give it to you. On this day, Yi Hua couldn't take it anymore. He took out his phone and gave a call to Qinya. You have to come back today, if not, I will go and catch you. Yi Hua gave a death order. I haven't seen Qinya for almost half a month, and I am starting to miss her. Hearing Yi Hua's familiar voice, Qinya said tenderly, all right, we will come back today. That's more like it. We will be having crayfish tonight. Qinya, after keeping his phone, Yi Hua laughed lightly. His mood was pretty good. After watching TV for a while, he went to pick up Qinya from the airport. Dong Huang Baiji walked behind Yi Hua, then stretched out her slender hand and placed onto Yi Hua's shoulder. Qinya, are you going to come back? And, if you don't come back, I will have to catch you. Yi Hua smiled faintly. Dong Huang Baiji said gently, all right, I'm jealous, oh? Empress is jealous? I want to see what she looks like. Hateful. After speaking, Yi Hua hugged the Empress in his embrace and started to take liberties with her. Meanwhile, the Empress was very vexed. This Yi Hua only ignites the fire, but doesn't extinguish the fire. Knowing that she was going to return home, Dong Huangli appeared to be very happy. I have had enough of staying in Zijin City for the past few days, and I miss my daddy and mommy. With regards to my 2 daughters wanting to return south, there is nothing I can do about it. Zihan and Wang Muqing sent their daughters to the airport and were reluctant to part with them. The next time I come back will be during Chinese New Year, right? On the other side, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji arrived at Long and City's airport to pick up Qinya. When Yihua saw the three of them walking out of the airport, a faint smile appeared on Yihua's face. After not seeing Qinya for almost half a month, Qinya is still so beautiful. Daddy, Mommy. Upon seeing her parents, Dong Huangli sprinted over like a little Superman and directly threw herself into Yihua's embrace. While carrying his daughter, Yihua asked lightly, "Has Ali been obedient these few days?" Ali has been very obedient. After speaking, Ali kissed her father, then stretched out her hands towards her mother. Donghuang Baiji took over her daughter, and both mother and daughter were very affectionate towards each other. Meanwhile, Yihua looked towards Qinya. "Why aren't you coming into my embrace yet?" Qinya slowly walked to the front of Qinya, then hugged onto her husband's body and said tenderly, "Yihua, I missed you so much." This was probably the longest time the two had been apart. Lightly hugging onto Qinya, Yihua said tenderly, "I missed you too." Hearing Yihua's tone, Qinya felt a bit more at ease. After all, a man who is in love will not do that kind of thing. Qin Yutong, who was standing at the side, was very unhappy. Why isn't there anyone welcoming the baby? It was too inhumane. Seeing that his sister-in-law was standing at the side gloomily, Yihua let go of his wife and hugged his sister-in-law. Don't misunderstand, this is just brother-in-law's love for his sister-in-law. I, the supreme overlord, never lie. Qin Yutong became happy. "I didn't get spanked by my brother-in-law for nothing," and immediately gave Qin Yutong a hug. Yihua took a look at the men in the surroundings and sneered in his heart. "My luck with women is not something that you all can enjoy." The surrounding men who took the opportunity were very envious. This beauty was hugged by the same man. God was unfair. Yihua expressed that the effect of acting cool was not bad, and it was about time for him to go back. "Come on, let's go home." His left hand was holding on to Qinya, his right hand was holding on to the Empress, and behind him was his sister-in-law. "I am a winner in life." If anyone was dissatisfied, they could step forward and ask for guidance. "I will teach you a lesson every minute." When Yihua returned back to Qinya Bar, it was already 7 p.m. Yihua knew that Qinya was going to come back soon, and thus, he decided to close the bar for the night. Yihua and his family were going to have a good meal together and enjoy this moment of reunion. When Qin Yutong saw Yi Zizi, who was wearing the school uniform, she immediately became furious. That smug look on Yi Zizi's face made even Yihua want to spank her, but, let alone Yi Zizi herself. Chapter 343. Daddy, I want more meat, more meat. Right now, Dong Huangli didn't even bother to peel the crayfish and directly finished off 2 big pieces of meat. Yihua drank the wine and said faintly, "Ali, you can't eat too much of this kind of meat." Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth and wrinkled her brows. Dong Huangli seemed to be saying that if you don't give it to me, I will cry. Of course, Yihua wouldn't spoil Ali too much. After all, Ali was still young, and Ali could only eat in moderation. Seeing that her daddy was really not going to give her any more, Dong Huangli looked towards Qin Yutong and said, "Aunt Qin, give some to Ali." After finished speaking, Qin Yutong even picked up the plate and placed it in front of Qin Yutong, causing everyone to laugh endlessly. "Ali, you have to listen to daddy's words." Aunt Qin also came over like this. "Next time, eat slower, and once you get used to it, you will be fine." Qin Yutong said with a smile, while protecting the meat on the plate. Stingy Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth and looked towards her mommy. Dong Huang Baiji naturally loved her daughter dearly, and just when she was about to give her daughter some, Yihua said faintly, "Baiji." Since her husband had already spoken, Dong Huang Baiji was powerless to help. At the same time, she also knew that although the meat was good, it must be eaten in moderation. At the same time, Dong Huang Baiji was able to understand that Dong Huang Baiji shouldn't spoil the child too much. Dong Huangli became even more depressed. Ali is angry, the kind that can't be coaxed. Everyone ignored him. A few minutes later, Dong Huangli could only acquiesce to the fact that Dong Huangli was right. Dong Wangli began peeling the crayfish, then began fawning on her daddy and mommy in various ways. Yi Hua was very gratified. My daughter is still sensible. Qinya, did anything happen during the past few days? Yi Hua asked. Qinya placed the prawn meat into Yi Hua's bowl and said tenderly, No, I just brought Ali to walk around. That old friend of yours didn't come to look for you? What Yi Hua mainly wanted to ask was this. After all, the title of a jealous king, in the cultivation world isn't just randomly given. Qinya laughed lightly, with a jealous king like you around, who would dare to look for me? Qinya, pay attention to your words, I am just concerned about you. Yi Hua said faintly. Jealous? Will I be jealous? Stop daydreaming. Even if this old man collapses, I, the Supreme Overlord, will not feel jealous. Alright, I am concerned about you. Qinya smiled helplessly. Seeing that Yi Zizi had become taciturn, Qinya asked curiously, Zizi, is going to school fun? I'm very happy, Yi Zizi said quietly. This sentence was too fake. At least smile. Ali wants to go to school too, and in the future, she wants to become a doctor. Dong Wangli shouted out. Yi Hua slightly wrinkled his brows. Why do you want to become a doctor? Because Ali wants to save the dying and heal the injured. Hearing that, Yi Hua felt that it was inappropriate. My daughter doesn't need to be saved. However, when Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji heard Dong Huang Baiji's words, the two wives felt very gratified. Yi Hua said indifferently, What's so good about being a doctor? In the future, Daddy will bring you along to conquer the world. Sure enough, upon hearing that, Dong Huangli became very excited. Daddy, when are we going to conquer the world? When Ali grows up, we'll go. Dong Huang Baiji smiled. Alright, Yi Hua, Ali is still so young, there's no need to teach her these things. This child will have to be picked up from when he is young. You all don't have to worry about him anymore. Yi Hua put on the airs of the head of a family. Everything will be decided by me. Using Yi Hua's words, the two of you will be responsible for taking good care of me, while I will stay at home and teach the child how to conquer the world. Speaking of the matter regarding the child, Qinya wanted to express her opinion. Yi Hua, Ali is still young right now, don't teach her some dangerous techniques. If an accident were to happen, the innocent would be harmed. Dong Huang Baiji still didn't know about this matter, and she asked confusedly, What technique? Dong Huangli began showing off as deviant flames appeared on all 10 of her fingers. Mommy, is it nice? Dong Huang Baiji was startled. Sensing the terrifying aura coming from the deviant flames, she hurriedly said, Ali, quickly put it away. Dong Huangli silently put away the deviant flames. Why do Mommy and the others have this kind of expression when they see my techniques? Daddy is the only one who looks happy. Yi Hua, this is too dangerous. If Ali isn't able to control it properly, something might happen. Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but mention this matter. To actually secretly teach Ali this technique. This deviant flame is an area of effect attack. If a child were to be able to control it properly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yi Hua said faintly, Ali is able to control it very well, I am very reassured. Li is very smart. Dong Wangli also wanted to make her mommy happy, just like how a student who scored 100 marks on a test wanted to be praised by their parents. Dong Huang Baiji wrinkled her brows and said, Ali, in the future, you can't casually use this technique, do you understand? Baiji, why can't Ali use this technique? Yi Hua asked gravely. My technique is bad? Dong Huang Baiji explained, Yi Hua, Ali is still young right now, don't teach her this kind of dangerous technique. What if someone gets hurt? Yi Hua placed down his chopsticks and said gravely, What's wrong with me teaching my child a powerful technique? This is also to allow Ali to have the ability to protect herself, why can't it be used by you too? Daddy, Mommy, don't fight, Ali doesn't need to use this technique in the future. Seeing that her parents were fighting because of her, Dong Huangli hurriedly persuaded. Yi Hua looked at his daughter and said faintly, Ali, don't be afraid. Use it when it's time, don't let others think that we are easy to bully. Yehua. How can you teach your child like this? Dong Huang Baiji shouted out. Yehua was clearly trying to turn his child into a demon king. This was something that Dong Huang Baiji wouldn't allow. After all, Dong Huang Baiji was a big shot in the north, and her responsibility was to stabilize all of the powers in the north and prevent large-scale casualties from occurring. Her goal was not much different from Nuwa's bloodline, which was to maintain the stability of the common people. This was also the philosophy that Dong Huang Baiji had been instilled with since young. Dong Huang Baiji naturally hoped that her daughter would inherit the family's tradition and do more good deeds, and not do evil deeds. However, what Yehua said just now was precisely preparing to teach his daughter to become a bad girl. In actuality, Dong Huang Baiji was thinking too lightly. Yehua was preparing to teach his daughter to become a real queen and let everyone worship her. He wasn't going to become a doctor. Alright, I don't want to argue with you two, and you two don't need to care about Ali's education. Yehua said coldly. I was originally going to eat happily, but you two just had to make me unhappy. Qinya, who had been silent the entire time, said lightly, Yehua, I feel that for the sake of Ali's education, we should discuss it properly. There's nothing to discuss. Yehua shouted out gravely. What's wrong with these two women today? Why are they going against me again? It has only been peaceful for a few days. Daddy, Mommy, you two are angry, it's fine as long as Ali is obedient. Dong Huangli was so anxious that her eyes had turned red. Big sister, brother-in-law, we can slowly discuss about the child's education, don't be anxious, don't get angry. Qin Yutong hurriedly persuaded. Originally, I thought that the appearance of a love rival would make brother-in-law angry, but I didn't expect that the two of them would have a disagreement because of the child. This seems to be even more troublesome. As a supreme overlord, brother-in-law will definitely look at things differently. Big sister and Baiji are both kind-hearted people, how can they possibly allow their child to become a demon king? In actuality, Yehua didn't want to argue with them either. Chapter 344. What was supposed to be a joyous occasion had instantly turned sour, and the atmosphere was a little depressing. Yehua appeared to be very irritated. Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji remained silent as well. Right now, Qin Yutong and Yizizi were even more unwilling to anger Yehua. Dong Huangli was scared. She feared that her daddy and mommy would quarrel with each other like how they used to. After a while, Qinya suggested, Yehua, I feel that we should have a family meeting. Seconded. Dong Huang Baiji indeed wanted to talk about the issue of having a child. After all, this matter was related to the future, and thus, she had to settle this matter. Yehua also felt that he had to talk about this problem properly, thus he said gravely, all right. Soon after, Qin Yutong said to Qin Yutong, Yutong, bring Zizi and Ali upstairs first. Qin Yutong nodded her head, you two can discuss it properly, as long as the family is harmonious, everything will prosper. After warning Dong Huangli, Qin Yutong went upstairs with Dong Huangli, Yizizi silently followed behind Dong Huangli, and Yizizi had a lifeless look on her face. The three sat in front of the dining table, and Yehua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. What do you guys want to say? As Dong Huangli's mother, Dong Huang Baiji took the lead and said, Yehua, can you leave the problem of Ali's education to me? As Ali's father, can't I teach him? Yehua asked gravely. Today, I will definitely let them know that my words are not to be doubted. Dong Huang Baiji wrinkled her brows, however, the things that you are teaching are not helpful to the child's growth. In fact, it might even cause Ali to walk down a path of no return. During this period of time, Qinya had been thinking for a very long time, especially the problem of her child's education. In a few months' time, I am going to give birth to my child, I have to prepare early. Yehua, how about this, can you hand over the child's education to us? Qinya also wanted to properly discuss with Yehua, and she naturally didn't want to quarrel with Yehua. Are you saying that I can't teach children? Yehua questioned. Yihua's anger was also slowly rising, making me seem like a sinner, to the point where I am not even allowed to touch the child. Qinya said earnestly, "It's fine for you to tell us those fallacious reasoning of yours, but when it comes to the child's growth, it's not good." "That's right," Donghuang Baiji answered. Bang! Yihua fiercely slammed onto the table and said coldly, "How am I distorting logic? This is a world where the weak are prey to the strong. What do you want to teach your children? A weak philanthropist? At the very least, it is better than a demon that does no evil." Donghuang Baiji said faintly. When these words fell into Yihua's ears, it was as if Yihua was scolding him in a roundabout way, because Yihua was this kind of person in the past. "Enough!" Yihua shouted out angrily. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji's bodies trembled. They didn't know why Yihua suddenly got angry. This is just a discussion about children, there is nothing wrong with it. The two wives didn't refute Yihua's anger, because they didn't want to quarrel over this matter. However, they still wanted to fight for it. Qinya begged in a low voice, "Yihua, can you consider it for a bit? There's no need to think about it, this matter is decided, the family meeting will end here." Yihua said coldly, then stood up and prepared to go upstairs. Donghuang Baiji let out a deep sigh, appearing to be very dispirited. Everything about Yihua is good, just that he is too overbearing. I have to listen to him for everything, and if I don't listen to him, he will get angry. What's going on with the Shao family? Yihua, who was preparing to leave, suddenly stopped his footsteps, then turned his head around and looked towards Qinya. "What did you say?" Qinya asked calmly, "How did you get that money back then?" Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, revealed a puzzled look. After all, back then, she wasn't present yet, thus she didn't know about these matters. Yihua let out a breath, then said indifferently, "Didn't I tell you in the past that I asked someone to go and get the money back?" "Just go and get the money back?" Qinya asked faintly. In actuality, she was also very nervous in her heart. She didn't want Yihua to be related to Nangong Sini's death. Yihua looked at Qinya and asked gravely, "Qinya, what exactly are you trying to say? Is that Nangong Sini's death related to you?" Qinya asked, her heart was in her throat. Yihua naturally remembered that Nangong Sini, then said gravely, "If you have something to say, just say it, don't beat around the bush. I heard that it was your subordinate who forced Nangong Sini to death, and he is only collecting interest. Is this what you requested, or did he do it on his own?" Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, was startled. There was actually such a thing? Yihua looked at Qinya in disbelief. What does this mean? Is she here to blame me? His anger that had originally calmed down immediately soared. That's right. It is what I requested, it is only right and proper for someone to repay their debt. Back then, I gave them 3 days of time, and it was they who didn't cherish it. I am already giving them a lot of face by not killing their entire family. Yihua didn't have any intention to hide anything from Yihua. Right now, he didn't want to hide anything, there was no need for him to do so. After hearing the answer, Qinya revealed a disappointed look. I didn't expect that it was really Yihua's order, and my mind was in a bit of a mess. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji didn't know what to say, and thus, she remained silent. Looking at Qinya's disappointed look, Yihua felt very uncomfortable in his heart as he asked, "Qinya, are you blaming me? I shouldn't have treated them like that." Qinya didn't mean it like that, and she said tenderly, "Yihua, although they are in the wrong, we can still talk about it. There is no need to force a child's mother to death." After hearing what Qinya said, Yihua sneered, "Qinya, are you blaming me for killing the innocent?" "Yihua, I am not blaming you, I just hope that in the future, you can think from another perspective, and not let your emotions affect your decisions." Qinya persuaded attentively. In actuality, she just didn't want to see Yihua killing people indiscriminately, just like how Yihua was asking for a debt. If Yihua killed Shao Yi, Qinya wouldn't have anything to say about it. However, if Yihua killed an innocent mother, Qinya would have no choice but to tell her husband not to do such a thing in the future. "Qinya, you are truly too naive. If I was slightly weaker, do you think that Xiao Yi would let me off? Do you think that he would let you off? Let me tell you. He wouldn't, he would even use the same method to make me suffer. How could Qinya not know what Yihua was thinking? Qinya said faintly, Yihua, I know what you are trying to say. Let's not do those shameful things, alright? Qinya would rather see Yihua openly go and look for his enemy than to see Yihua secretly torturing his enemy using innocent people. You are saying that I am shameful. This time, Yihua was really angered by Qinya. Dongwang Baiji hurriedly said, Yihua, Qinya didn't mean it like that, you misunderstood her. Didn't your subordinate, the Black Robe, violate a sect master? Qinya didn't like Yihua being like this. It is obvious that I am in the wrong, yet I am still acting as if I am in the right. Dongwang Baiji was very astonished. Yihua's subordinate violated a sect master? The two wives looked at Yihua with a questioning gaze at the same time. Yihua's heart turned cold. In your eyes, am I that kind of person? To think that I, the Supreme Overlord, had to put in so much effort to save the two of you. Yihua let out an ice-cold voice and said, if I were to say that they are currently in love with each other, would you believe me? The two wives didn't say anything. It was clear that they didn't believe him. At this moment, Yihua's heart seemed to have been deeply pierced by the two women in front of him. As wives, they don't even believe in their husband's words. Just how disappointing is this? Chapter 345. Yihua sat on the chair, and a vicious aura was being emitted out from his body. This caused Qinya and Donghuang Baiji to be very worried, but there was nothing they could do. No matter what, I have to make Yihua change a little and stop treating human life as a game. Right now, Yihua was very disappointed in Qinya and Donghuang Baiji, extremely disappointed. As my wife, not only did they not do their duty well, they even helped an outsider to reprimand me? They didn't even believe his words. This was absolutely intolerable. Don't expect me to put on a show again, that's absolutely impossible. Last time, I was at fault, and in order to redeem myself, I admitted it. But this time, don't even think about it. The three of them sat in the hall and did not speak, and Yihua was smoking one cigarette after another. After quite a while, space distorted, and Death Mage and Sun Fang appeared at the scene. GGG, Royal Translator, Boss. Sun Fang also greeted respectfully, Boss. Wei Chang had already instructed them to skip the honorific and just call him boss. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji looked towards the Black Robe. They never expected that the Black Robe would actually be a skeleton. His hair stood on end. Dare I ask, how did a skeleton humiliate the beauty beside him? Both Qinya and Donghuang Baiji were stupefied. Go ahead and ask. Yihua said coldly. Sun Fang said to the two ladies, Madams, I am Sun Fang, the previous sect master of Cloud sect. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji were very puzzled. Why would such a beautiful woman be on good terms with a skeleton? This isn't an act, right? Madams, you can ask me if you have any questions. It needs to type to speak, so it's rather slow, Sun Fang said softly. Death Mage took out his phone and typed a few words, then showed his phone. I can't talk. This time, the two women were even more shocked. A skeleton that couldn't speak, how could there be such a woman? What was wrong with this world? Qinya looked towards the angry Yihua and felt that her brain wasn't enough to process what was going on. Sun Fang, did he violate you before? Qinya asked curiously. Sun Fang nodded. Yes. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji's expression immediately changed. However, Sun Fang continued, however, I did it voluntarily. The two girls were embarrassed. Seeing the two madams' confusion, Sun Fang naturally knew that back in the Ying family, there were many people who had the same question. Why did such a beautiful person end up with a skeleton? Sun Fang actually wanted to say that the little skeleton's body was tough and she couldn't beat it in any way. The two madams must be very puzzled. Actually, I don't know why I like skeletons either. He doesn't even have a single piece of meat on his body. Even when I hug him, he's stiff. But it can make me laugh and make me feel better. Isn't this the feeling that we women have always wanted? Love knows no race. Although it sometimes angers me, it can quickly coax me. I still have to praise it for this. Looking at the blissful smile on Sun Fang's face, the two women felt that she wasn't lying, but they still couldn't believe it. Look at others, then look at yourselves. Yi Hua, who was sitting at the side, said coldly. How good is my subordinate's wife? My subordinate's wife and my subordinate's wife are so loving and have never quarreled with each other. Looking at my own wife, I really can't compare her with my subordinate's wife. Alright, regarding this matter, Qinya felt that she had misunderstood Yi Hua. She finally let out a sigh of relief in her heart. After all, Yi Hua didn't help the evildoer. However, Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, said with a taut face, Yi Hua, I have always wanted to ask you, how did you get those things in the storage room? Last time, when Donghuang Baiji saw those things, she was very shocked. However, in the end, she didn't ask about it anymore. During this period of time, she had been too sweet and had forgotten about it. Now that she remembered about it, she decided to ask about it. Yi Hua pointed at Death Mage. He sent them over. Donghuang Baiji looked towards Death Mage and asked, how did you get those betrothal gifts? Death Mage was very honest. After all, it was the madam who asked about it. Death Mage typed on his phone, and soon after, his phone lit up. 2 words. Snatched. After taking a look, Yi Hua said faintly, well snatched. GGG, Imperial Translation, thank you, Your Honor, for your praise. Donghuang Baiji's face immediately sunk as she asked, where is he? Death Mage continued typing. It was still 2 words. Killed. Yi Hua said faintly, well killed. My husband's men killed my subordinates? My husband was still cheering at the side. Donghuang Baiji shouted out, Yi Hua. Aren't you going to explain yourself? Yi Hua stood up and looked at Donghuang Baiji. What do you want me to explain? Without my permission, you actually went to send betrothal gifts. Fortunately, my subordinates coincidentally snatched the betrothal gifts. If not, you would have given me a green hat. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Donghuang Baiji was actually speechless. However, she still felt uncomfortable in her heart, but your subordinates killed my subordinates. Baiji, if you didn't go and send betrothal gifts, would your subordinates have died? Could it be that you want my subordinates to take the blame? Yi Hua shouted out coldly. He didn't look like a madam at all. Donghuang Baiji stared at Yi Hua, seemingly wanting Yi Hua to give her an explanation. In any case, I am the Empress of Voidless Realm. Since my subordinates died in vain, should at least seek justice for them, right? In actuality, if Yi Hua were to apologize right now, everything would be fine. With just a bit of cowardice, the 2 beauties would be in his arms again. However, this time, Yi Hua wouldn't pamper them anymore. Baiji. What kind of expression is that? Could it be that you want me to punish my subordinates? Yi Hua shouted out sternly. Shouldn't it be? Donghuang Baiji asked back. Yi Hua could be considered to be quite angered by the 2 women today. He said gravely, Qinya, Baiji, let me tell the 2 of you, that is impossible. There is no need for me, Yi Hua, to ask the 2 of you what I do. You. Donghuang Baiji was also angered by Yi Hua. Qinya pulled on to Donghuang Baiji and said lightly to Yi Hua, can we both calm down for a bit? Calm down? I will never calm down in my entire life. I will do whatever I have to do. Seeing that Yi Hua's emotions were very great, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji discussed with each other in a low voice. In the end, Qinya said, Yi Hua, Baiji, and I will go to Voidless Realm to stay for a period of time. You should properly think about it. After thinking it through, come to Voidless Realm and look for us. Yi Hua was angered to the point that he laughed. You two want to leave again? You two are truly treating my doting as donkey's liver and lungs. Yihua shouted out coldly, fine. All of you, scram. Do you all really think that I will die without the two of you? Seeing Yihua acting like this, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji couldn't bear to see Yihua acting like this. After all, Yihua had sacrificed a lot for them. However, Yihua truly had a lot of bad habits. For the sake of the future, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji felt that there was a need for Yihua to properly think about it. Donghuang Baiji said calmly, Yihua, I will bring Ali back to Voidless Realm first. After you think it through, come and bring us back. Yihua, there are actually a lot of things that can be properly solved. Qingye persuaded tenderly. Yihua stamped on the cigarette butt and said gravely, Qingye. Baiji. I will prove to the two of you that those theories of yours are completely bullsh*t. Seeing that Yihua was still acting like this, the two women let out a sigh, then disappeared from the hall. Seeing that his wives had disappeared, Yihua picked up the wine bottle and smashed it onto the ground. Those two foolish women really left. Chapter 346. Death Mage and Sun Fang also left silently. Right now, His Honor's mood is definitely not good. I heard that His Honor would threaten his subordinates to break up with him for no reason at all. Right now, His Honor is not having a good time, and His Honor will definitely not let this subordinate have a good time. Brother-in-law, Li was taken away by her mother. Qing Yutong suddenly ran over. Got it, do as you wish. Yihua shouted out gravely. What about my big sister? Qing Yutong asked weakly. All of them ran away from home. After finished speaking, Yihua lit a cigarette and went upstairs. Sitting on the sofa in the office, Yihua decided on one thing. I'm going to let them see that the so-called mercy is actually just a joke. In actuality, Yihua should be rejoicing. This was only a small part of the secret that was discovered by Qingye. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji would never say that they would wait for you. However, that was no longer important. Yihua extinguished the cigarette butt, and his gaze was deep and eerie. I, the Supreme Overlord, want you all to beg me to come back. I will also let you know that there is no such thing as mercy in this world. With the caress of the large hand, the office began to distort and gradually turned into another scene. No one knew when the sofa had turned into a throne, but this was a throne piled up with skeletons. Among them were human skulls, huge orc skulls, rare elven skulls, and even dragon skulls. All the skulls were intertwined together, forming a terrifying and sinister throne. Right now, Yihua had already shed off his physical body and revealed his most primitive state. However, very quickly, a set of 7-colored divine light armor materialized on his body. The surrounding darkness was lit up by the divine light. Multicolored light lingered around the darkness, raging flames surged and rolled, and waves of overflowing aura seemed as if it was going to devour the entire world. Meanwhile, the palace that was illuminated by the rainbow divine light also revealed its original appearance. This was Yihua's former meeting hall. The long passageway was so dark that the end couldn't be seen. The floor was covered with a bright red carpet made from the bodies of young crystal dragons. This long tunnel had basically slaughtered the entire crystal dragon race. As for the huge pillar, it was the body of the ancient anaconda that had been placed there after it had been petrified. As for those innumerable pillars, it was unknown how many ancient giant pythons had died. The entire palace was built with all kinds of strange corpses. It exuded a cold and gloomy aura. If a normal person came here, they would definitely be scared to death. Because even if these divine beasts were dead, their power still remained. Yihua was sitting on the throne of skeletons, and his index finger was tapping on the skull of an elf. If he did not remember wrongly, this skull was the skull of an elf queen. Wei Chong. Lai Gu. Absolute heaven. Yi Zizi. Yihua shouted gravely. Hearing that His Honor had summoned them with a different tone, the 7 deadly sins did not dare to be negligent in the slightest, and all of them rushed over. This time, His Honor was no longer cleaning the toilet in the bar. Instead, His Honor had returned to the royal palace. This caused the hearts of His Honor's 4 subordinates to sink. This time, His Honor is truly angry. Subordinates, pay respect to your honor. The 7 deadly sins did not dare to be careless in the slightest as they respectfully greeted Yi Hua, who was seated on the throne. The evil aura that was being emitted out from Yi Hua's body unconsciously. Even though it was a god beast that had already died, Yi Hua still seemed to be afraid of Yi Hua. Your Honor, please quell your anger. The 4 men hurriedly kneeled onto the ground. For His Honor to be angry, it is definitely our fault. Yi Hua slowly said, I had thought that I would be able to enjoy my life for a few days, but it seems like it was still an extravagant hope. The 4 men remained silent. After a long while, Wei Chang said coldly, Shao family has to take full responsibility for this matter. If your honor allows it, subordinate will go and exterminate the entire Shao family right now and offer their heads to your honor. Yi Hua looked at Wei Chang, then said gravely, No. This time, my target is not Shao family, but Voidless Realm. The 7 deadly sins were startled, not understanding what His Honor meant. Your Honor, Madame Donghuang is the Empress of Voidless Realm, and your Honor's target is Voidless Realm? Zhu Tian still didn't know what was going on, and he was still puzzled. Lai Gu and Yi Zizi didn't say anything, fearing that they would say something wrong. Yi Hua snorted coldly. Zhu Tian immediately bowed down to express his apology. The 2 madams still don't know how deep the water in this world is. If that's the case, I will give them a good lesson. Yi Hua's tone was just like a cold spring from hell, causing one's hair to stand on end. Originally, I planned to let the North and South fight against each other, but after the South suffered disastrous losses, I have a new plan. The eyes of the 4 men lit up, especially Yi Zizi. Yi Hua said coldly, I want all of the powers in the North to attack Voidless Realm willingly. Lai Gu hurriedly said, Your Honor, are we going to show off our acting skills on stage again? No. This time, we will not move. The 4 men were immediately stupefied, not knowing what His Honor was trying to do. I want to let them know a principle, no matter how good they are to anyone, for their own benefit. Benevolence is nothing. Zhu Tian understood what His Honor meant. The 2 madams are definitely kind-hearted, and they angered His Honor. Thus, His Honor wants to teach the 2 madams a lesson and let them understand the truth of blood. Your Honor, leave this matter to subordinate. Zhu Tian bowed down and said. He was willing to be the leader this time. With Zhu Tian being the leader, Yi Hua was rather at ease. Zhu Tian. Go ahead and do it, let them know what cruelty is. What betrayal is. What the human heart is. Subordinate understands. Zhu Tian decided that this time, he will definitely do it beautifully and make His Honor satisfied. Yi Hua said faintly, let's start with Shao family. I want Xingye to take the initiative to kill everyone in Shao family. Also, go and investigate the case of Dongfang family from 100 years ago. I want to see how many people they can protect. This time, Yi Hua was being serious. Women cannot be spoiled too much. If I spoil them too much, they will go to heaven. This time, Yi Hua's intention was very simple, but it was very difficult to carry it out. For example, if I want Xingye to take the initiative to slaughter Shao family, I will need a reason. This time, not only was this a lesson for the 2 wives, it was also a test for Yi Hua himself. Subordinate will obey your Honor's command. Yi Hua slowly stood up, then warned, don't treat them as your madams. Just do what you need to do, I will not allow them to throw a tantrum anymore. Yes. If they can't even pass such a small obstacle, they aren't worthy to be your madams. After finished speaking, Yi Hua disappeared from the throne. After Yi Hua left, the 4 men looked at each other. In the past, they were enemies, and this time, the enemies are indeed the 2 madams. Furthermore, to let the 2 madams have a taste of all kinds of things, the difficulty is not just a small one. I still have to go to school tomorrow, I will be going back to sleep. After speaking, Yi Zizi disappeared. Lai Gu let out a sigh. His honor is angry this time. That's right, this time, the difficulty is even greater than acting. Wei Chang sighed. Zhu Tian's expression didn't have much fluctuation as he said indifferently, his honor's way of doing things is correct, the two madams' benevolence is the same as being cruel to themselves. After all, we don't need merciful madams. Chapter 347. Wei Chang and Lai Gu nodded their heads, expressing that they agreed with Wei Chang's viewpoint. All right, you two have a nice chat. I'll go back and be a warrior on the bed. Let me know if you make any big moves. After speaking, Lai Gu also disappeared from the palace hall. It feels so good to return to this familiar place. This smell of blood is really addicting, causing me to feel restless. Only Wei Chang and Absolute Heaven remained in the empty hall. Let me know if you need any manpower. Lai Gu was very generous. Recently, the demons and ghosts in Long and City were more or less cleared out by his underlings, and the two of them were extremely bored. Absolute Heaven did not stand on ceremony. All right. Your honor's mission this time around is rather difficult, you have to pay attention to it. Wei Chang couldn't help but remind Yi Hua. Absolute Heaven also knew how difficult this matter was. Relax, have you all forgotten what I used to do? Wei Chang laughed lightly. Thinking about it, Absolute Heaven had brought despair to mankind in the past. Only, this time, his target had changed to the two madams. This time, his honor is truly heartless. I hope that the two madams will be able to hold on. All right, I'll be leaving first. I still have lessons to teach tomorrow, Zhu Tian said indifferently. Lai Gu teased, there should be a lot of beauties in Zijin University, aren't you going to consider? I'm not interested in women. After finished speaking, Zhu Tian left. This cold and detached temperament of his was even deeper than Yi Hua's, he was truly a cold and aloof Prince Charming. Wei Chang smiled. In the past, I wasn't interested in women, but after coming into contact with Tang Wei, I changed my mind. Right now, Yi Hua was standing beside the window and smoking a cigarette. Looking at the night sky of Long and City, his gaze was emitting out coldness. Brother-in-law? Qin Yutong knocked on the door and called out lightly. Yi Hua silently took a look at his sister-in-law, then turned his gaze towards the night sky. Qin Yutong pursed her lips, seemingly feeling that her brother-in-law had returned to his original state. During this period of time, brother-in-law had finally changed a little. He would even smile from time to time. It would probably be hard to see brother-in-law smile in the future. Brother-in-law, why don't you tell my sister and Baiji about your identity? They will understand. Qin Yutong naturally didn't want to see her big sister and brother-in-law fall out. After all, they were all a family, what was there to quarrel about? Even if there was a disagreement, wouldn't it be fine as long as everyone took a step back? Yi Hua said coldly, identity? Why not tell them? If I were to bring the two of them out, it would simply be a disgrace. Aren't you affected by your bloodline? The influence of my bloodline? Even if she doesn't have this bloodline, she's still the same. She's soft-hearted. Yi Hua flicked away the cigarette but that was in his hand, then sat down on the sofa. Coldness filled the space between Yi Hua's brows. This time, I will not let them off. Qin Yutong sat at Yi Hua's side and said attentively, in the past, Big Sister has never come into contact with these things, and I only know how to do business. Only after following brother-in-law did I come to know of some things. There has to be a process, right? I'm giving them the process right now. It will be a very unforgettable process. Qin Yutong also didn't want her big sister to suffer a lot of pain, thus Qin Yutong pulled onto her brother-in-law's arm and said coquettishly, brother-in-law, big sister still loves you, you have to be magnanimous, just punish her a little and it will be fine. Turning his head around, Yi Hua looked at his sister-in-law and said gravely, do you also want to experience the process? Oh, I forgot to turn off my computer. Brother-in-law, you should rest early and pretend that I didn't say anything. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong slipped away. Big sister, don't blame this little sister. This little sister has already pleaded for leniency for you, just that this time, you really angered brother-in-law. However, Qing Yutong also knew that brother-in-law wouldn't hurt big sister too much. He just wanted big sister to understand some principles, that's all. Although it was a bit cruel, it was still beneficial to big sister. If Qingya was half as sensible as his little sister, Yihua wouldn't be so troubled. Looking at his sister-in-law leaving, Yihua leaned on the sofa and pondered. I have to let Qingya and Baiji understand that their benevolence will only be used by their enemies. Wei Chang. Yihua called out gravely. Very quickly, Wei Chang's figure appeared in the office. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Release the control over Shao family. Although Wei Chang was puzzled, he didn't dare to ask too much. Understood, subordinate will go and pass on the message right away. After Wei Chang left, Yihua lit up another cigarette, and his black pupils became deep. Shao family is making use of your kindness, then take a look at Shao family's true colors. During these few days, Shao Yi didn't sleep well, fearing that something would happen. Sitting in the pavilion in the courtyard, Shao Yi was wearing high-end silk pajamas and drinking tea. Brother Shao, you're not asleep yet? Shu Nan leisurely walked over and stood behind Shao Yi, massaging her husband. Shao Yi sighed, is doing this right or wrong? Brother Shao, things have already come to this. Why are you still thinking about right and wrong? Shu Nan said gently. One must know that Yihua felt that Shao family was somewhat useful, and thus, Yihua decided to make use of Shao family. This meant that Shao family had obtained Yihua's protection. To be able to obtain the protection of a supreme being was such a great honor. Unfortunately, the Shao family did not want to be a notch lower than others or be controlled by others. The consequences of such a decision were very serious. Just as the two of them were discussing this matter, the void twisted. Shao Yi and Shu Nan's faces sank and they quickly stood up. A lump of black fog appeared in front of the two people's eyes. Wei Chang wished that he could directly behead these two people. Back then, they ran over to his honor and begged for his life, and right now, they are stabbing his honor in the back. Shu Nan pulled her husband and Shao Yi helplessly knelt on the ground. I came here today just to pass on a message. In the future, I won't care about Shao family's matters anymore, you two better take care of yourselves. Hearing what Wei Chang said, Shao Yi and Shu Nan were immediately astonished. It's really effective. Could it be that this lump of black fog is Qingya's husband? That leisure bar's boss? Is he just not willing to reveal his true identity? You two are thinking too much. Yihua disdains to come here and say such things. However, since Wei Chang had already achieved his goal, Shao Yi said gravely, thank you. Wei Chang spread out his palm, and Shao Yi felt that there was a strange movement within his body. A trace of black fog could be seen coming out from Shao Yi's body, and the black fog immediately fused with the black fog. After doing all that, Wei Chang left. What his honor can bestow upon you, he can also take back. Shao Yi's face was pale and powerless, and his breathing was even more hurried. Just now, when that trace of black fog came out from his body, I felt that it took away a lot of my strength. Right now, I have returned back to my original strength. Brother Shao. Shu Nan held on to her husband. Shao Yi said weakly, this is good as well, at least, I won't be restricted by others. Shu Nan didn't say anything, but he felt that the Shao family had done a foolish thing. They were strong, but they didn't rely on them. Instead, they wanted to leave. In Voidless Realm, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were sitting in Ali's courtyard. The two of them had a look of hidden bitterness on their faces, just like a wife who ran away from home, and yet, her husband actually didn't chase after her. The two of them were indeed a bit arrogant. They thought that Yihua cared about them a lot, that he would spoil them a lot, and that he would change for them. Furthermore, they believed that after they came out from the Voidless Realm, Yihua would come and pick them up very soon. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had already thought of what to say to Yihua, but it was a pity that after waiting for 2 hours, Yihua still didn't come. Mommy, when are we going home? Dong Huangli, who was playing at the side, ran over while sweating profusely and asked. Dong Huang Baiji smiled tenderly. Soon, Daddy will come and pick us up. Chapter 348. Sigh. Dong Huang Baiji let out a deep sigh, then said, Qinya, are we being too impulsive? Qinya was very confused. Before I left, I already told Yihua to come and find me, and I will definitely go back. But it has already been so long, and he still hasn't come back. Let's wait a while more. Yihua can't let go of his face. Another 2 hours passed by, and it was already midnight. Dong Huangli was already sleeping in her mother's embrace. Meanwhile, Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji were still waiting foolishly. Qinya, you understand Yihua a bit, why isn't he coming yet? Dong Huang Baiji asked. When I found out that my subordinate was killed by Yihua's subordinate, I was furious, and Yihua didn't apologize to me at all. Now that I think about it, I am also in the wrong. Who asked me to send the betrothal gift out of anger? If the betrothal gift really arrived, wouldn't I be finished? That was why Dong Huang Baiji felt depressed. If Yihua didn't come and find me, I wouldn't be able to get out of this embarrassing situation. Qinya sighed lightly. Yihua is really angry this time. Ah, then what should we do? Dong Huang Baiji cried out in surprise. Based on my understanding of Yihua, he is definitely thinking of a way to let us go back by ourselves. Qinya understood Yihua's personality, and she guessed correctly. Dong Huang Baiji pouted her mouth. I won't go back unless he comes and picks me up. He is also sure that we won't go back by ourselves, and he will definitely think of a way. Qinya laughed bitterly. We are both your wives, can't you even coax us? Think of what way? Qinya said, do you know why Shao family suddenly withdrew from the aristocratic family selection? Why? That was arranged by Yihua. Dong Huang Baiji was startled. Why would Yihua interfere in Shao family's matter? I also don't know what he is playing at. Qinya let out a breath and stood up. Oh right, I just remembered, that morning, Yihua even asked me to approve Tang family's selection. Dong Huang Baiji suddenly recalled what happened that morning. This made Qinya recall the auction that night. Was it Yihua who asked you to approve Tang family's selection? That's right. That morning, Yihua had said it to me. I felt that it was just a small matter, so I went along with what he said. Dong Huang Baiji wrinkled her brows, feeling that Yihua was secretly planning something. Not only did the Shao clan withdraw, but they also arranged for the Tang clan to intervene. The two women were confused. Qinya, Yihua couldn't be setting up a trap, right? Dong Huang Baiji asked gravely. However, there has to be a reason for all of this, right? You are the empress, and furthermore, you are his wife, and you are the one who is in charge of the entire north. There is no need for him to do all of this. Qinya was completely clueless about what Yihua was trying to do. Dong Huang Baiji guessed, Yihua likes to stay at home, and he doesn't seem to be someone who is obsessed with power. However, why would he interfere in this aristocratic family's election? In the past, that subordinate of Yihua had also interfered with the South's matters, and it was precisely the fight over the ancient godly item. On that day, I was camping with Yihua. Now that I think about it, it seems like Yihua had an ulterior motive. The more Qinya thought about it, the more she felt that it was strange. Qinya, you are saying that not only did Yihua interfere with the North, he also interfered with the South? Then, are the recent events that happened in the South related to Yihua? Dong Huang Baiji didn't dare to believe it. The more she continued to speculate, the more she felt that Yihua was a mystery. Qinya shook her head. I don't know. Then, what if it is true? Dong Huang Baiji's hypothesis caused Qinya to be a bit confused. After a long while, Qinya said gravely, if it was really done by Yihua, I will slowly change him, and I will not leave him. What about you? Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly. Ali is already so big, and it wasn't easy for me to find my daddy. I will naturally not leave him either. The two women looked at each other and smiled. For them, Yihua was even willing to give up his life, and they would naturally not leave him either. Husbands have to be slowly taught. Yi Hua expressed that he wouldn't take the blame. However, Zhu Tian was, after all, Yi Hua's subordinate, and it was impossible for him to not take the blame for those family extermination massacres. Then, how are we going to change Yi Hua's personality? At the very least, we have to get rid of those crooked principles. Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. I reckon that Yi Hua wants to prove those crooked principles, and that's why he will start with those families. What we have to do is to let Yi Hua know that this world isn't like what he thinks it is. Although there are bad people in this world, most of them are still good people. Dong Huang Baiji's eyes shone. Qinya, are you saying that the two of us should join hands to deal with Yi Hua? Qinya smiled. Aren't you very excited? A bit. What if we lose? If we lose, we will obediently go home and beg for forgiveness. If we win, Yi Hua will become an obedient baby in the future. Dong Huang Baiji smiled sweetly, and immediately became incomparably beautiful. I like to see Yi Hua become an obedient baby. I like it too. The two wives were like-minded, and they were prepared to turn a demon king into an obedient baby. One couldn't help but admire their courage. Furthermore, their thinking was too simple. Qinya, who only knew how to fight in a business war, and the Empress who had never been through any big storms, how could they possibly be Yi Hua's opponent? After all, Yi Hua was someone who had been through hundreds of battles, a man who had rolled around in piles of corpses. This was a contest between husband and wife, and the entire north was the chessboard. Looking at the current situation, Dong Huang Baiji had the upper hand. After all, she was the Empress of Voidless Realm, and if Yi Hua wanted to get involved, he would have to start from his family. Dong Huang Baiji would be able to obtain the information in time, and then take action. And according to Dong Huang Baiji's guess, Yi Hua was preparing to start from Tang family. If Yi Hua were to know of Dong Huang Baiji's guess, he would definitely shout out loud at Dong Huang Baiji. How could I be so obvious? Even if I were to sit at home and not do anything, I would still be able to teach the two of you a lesson. On this night, Yi Hua was destined to hug his quilt and sleep. If I had known that this would be the case, would have slept with Dong Huang Baiji and let her know how formidable I am. If you two have the ability, don't come back. This time, I will definitely let them see how formidable I am. After that, obediently admit their wrongs and serve me well, and maybe, I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, I will not let you two have a good time. Zijin City was the center of China, and Zijin University had a very long history. Zijin University was also very famous in the world. Zijin University was a university that all students yearned to attend, and Zijin University attracted a lot of international students. In the morning, the campus was filled with the fragrance of fresh flowers, and the green grass was like a cushion. Everywhere was filled with the fragrance of flowers, and one after another, modern school buildings rose from the ground. Youthful and energetic university students were walking on the tree-shaded path with a happy smile on their faces. This kind of carefree university life would end after they graduate, and at that time, despair would begin. Quick, quick, look over there, beauties. A freshman shouted out while pointing at two girls that were not far away from them. Chapter 349. Why does that girl look so weak? I really want to go and protect her. The freshman sighed. This was the first time he had seen such a girl, and he couldn't help but feel sorry for her. There are many people who want to protect her. You are not the only one. The senior said disdainfully. Not only these two were whispering, but other students were also discussing. This girl had a natural desire to be protected, and they couldn't bear to see her get hurt. This person was Dong Fangyu, and next to her was her best friend, Song Xiaoxiao. Compared to Dong Fangyu, Song Xiaoxiao wasn't so outstanding, but beside a beauty, there would always be green leaves. It wasn't that Song Xiaoxiao wasn't beautiful, but she was inferior. Of course, the relationship between the two was very good, like sisters. Our school hired a super cold professor. Song Xiaoxiao held Dongfang Yu's arm and laughed exaggeratedly, even gesturing with her hands. Dongfang Yu was thinking about things and didn't hear what Song Xiaoxiao said. It's the open class of the Cold Prince Charming. Let's go early and get a seat. I heard that the class of the Cold Prince Charming is full of women. Song Xiaoxiao's face was full of infatuation. These days, she went late and didn't even get a seat. She could only see the elegant demeanor of the Prince Charming on the school forum. So cold, so cool. Dongfang Yu still didn't respond, looking very heavy. What are you thinking about? Song Xiaoxiao shook Dongfang Yu and said. Dongfang Yu came back to her senses and smiled. Oh, nothing. Why did you become stupid after the summer vacation? I'll take you to see handsome men. I heard that looking at handsome men can stimulate brain cells and achieve the goal of longevity. Dongfang Yu said softly, I'm not going, you go. This summer vacation was a nightmare for Dongfang Yu. She was sold by her mother to the Bai family and was even insulted by Bai Qi. Only by returning to this school could she feel a little safer. Listening to Dongfang Yu's tone, Song Xiaoxiao was depressed. She had a loud voice, and Dongfang Yu's voice was very low and soft. Even if they were quarreling, she would use such a tone. But it was this that would arouse the desire of men to protect her. Come with me. I'm afraid I'll look ugly if I go alone, Song Xiaoxiao pleaded. She seemed to be saying that if he didn't come with her, she would cry. Looking at her friend's pleading, Dongfang Yu couldn't bear to refuse. She was such a girl. Even if she was hurt, she didn't want to see others get hurt. Her mother sold her to the Bai family, but she didn't say anything. All right. Dongfang Yu chuckled. That's great. Let's run. Otherwise, we won't be able to get a seat. With that, Song Xiaoxiao pulled Dongfang Yu and ran. Immediately, the boys drooled as they watched. This beautiful lady was really exciting when she ran. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, and it made people's hearts skip a beat. Especially that thing that was moving up and down. I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. Litli, slow down. Dongfang Yuan's face turned red after jogging for a while. Her weak body couldn't keep up. They didn't stop until they reached the classroom door. Fortunately, we ran fast, or else there wouldn't be any seats left. Song Xiaoxiao patted her chest, while Dongfang Yu had a helpless expression. Dongfang Yu was not interested in handsome guys, and only studying could make her forget many things. The spacious classroom's occupancy rate had reached 70%, and there was still half an hour before the class started. Just as the two were about to sit down, a gorgeous girl frowned and shouted, "There's someone here." Song Xiaoxiao wasn't like Dongfang Yu. There's no one here. You're clearly taking up a seat. That's right. I'm taking up a seat. What can you do? Dongfang Yu pulled Song Xiaoxiao and said softly, "Let's sit at the side." Song Xiaoxiao glared at the girl and sat at the side with Dongfang Yu. The seat just now was in the middle, and the view was very good. Suddenly, the sound of high heels rang out. Everyone couldn't help but look back. It turned out to be the campus belle, Guan Yanxin. This woman had the height of a model. She had fair skin and a hot figure. She wore a tight red dress that seemed to be specially worn. Her arrogance was like that of an empress. Some of the freshmen were whispering. I heard that this Guan Yanxin's background is very deep. I heard it when I first came to school. It said that those who provoked her all dropped out. Lower your voice, don't let others hear you. If not, you won't have a good ending. Guan Yanxin could be seen sitting at the seat just now, and the beautiful girl beside her seemed to be her attendant. "TSK, what are you being arrogant for?" Song Xiaoxiao pouted her mouth. Dongfang Yu said softly, "All right, don't be angry anymore." Song Xiaoxiao could only sulk. From this angle, she could only see her Adonis's side view. Tens of minutes later, the aloof Adonis finally arrived. Ju Tian could be seen wearing a pure white suit. His handsome hairstyle matched with a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. Adding on the ice-cold aura that was being emitted from his entire body, it caused the students to go crazy. Walking into the classroom, Ju Tian coldly swept his gaze across the classroom. As expected, all of the students are females. Why didn't I realize that I have such allure in the past? When the students saw that Ju Tian had arrived, everyone in the classroom gasped, as if they were about to orgasm. As for Ju Tian, he didn't feel the slightest bit of emotion as he slowly walked towards the rostrum. Not only did the girls not feel disgusted by his actions, they instead adored him even more. While looking at the group of girls, Ju Tian didn't want to talk nonsense. After all, he had been very busy recently, and he had to make a series of plans for his honors mission. Do you know what you all came here to learn today? Ju Tian placed his hands behind his back and asked. This action of his caused the girls to become dumbfounded. Song Xiao raised both of her fists and said infatuatedly, so handsome, so handsome. Dongfang Yu'er remained unmoved, she only wanted to listen to the content of the lecture. Guan Yinxin appeared calm, but her gaze carried a strong sense of dominance, as if she wanted to train this man into a kitten. The fangirls that were present were all stupefied. How could they hear anything else? You, speak. Ju Tian pointed at Guan Yinxin and said. Guan Yinxin slowly stood up. Her graceful posture showed that she had a good upbringing. I came to see you, Professor. Guan Yinxin was very daring and directly started flirting with Ju Tian. The fangirls all had a look of disdain on their faces. Shameless, you actually dare to seduce our aloof Adonis. Ju Tian took a look at Guan Yinxin, then indicated for her to sit down. Afterward, he pointed at Dongfang Yu'er and asked, what are you doing here? Even though he was clearly asking Dongfang Yu'er, Song Xiao, who was at the side, was extremely excited. Dongfang Yu'er stood up and said tenderly, I am here to listen to a lecture. Everyone in the classroom sighed. Even a beauty like Guan Yinxin came here for the professor, yet you said that you are here to listen to a lecture. Are you even a woman? Chapter 350. Ju Tian nodded. The latter slowly sat down, not feeling that Ju Tian was handsome at all. What is hypnosis in your eyes? Ju Tian asked indifferently. A girl shouted, Professor, I'm willing to be hypnotized by you and then do illegal things to me. TSK, this was even more daring. The audience sighed. This shamelessness had reached a certain level. Ju Tian was not angry and said indifferently, hypnosis is a science. For example, you were all hypnotized by me, but you didn't know it. Ju Tian had learned very quickly these few days. He immediately stirred up the atmosphere and changed the topic of looking at handsome guys to hypnosis. Of course, the fans did not believe it. Ju Tian looked at Guan Yinxin and said indifferently, do you believe it? No. Guan Yinxin shook her head. Ju Tian then looked at Dongfang Yu'er, what about you? Dongfang Yu shook her head. The two of you, come on stage. Dongfang Yu'er and Guan Yinxin were puzzled, but they still stood up and went on stage. It was rare to see two school beauties going on stage at the same time. Professor, are you trying to hypnotize me? Guan Yinxin was quite open, while Dongfang Yu'er was much quieter. Ju Tian did not look at Guan Yinxin, but looked at the students. As I said, they have already been hypnotized by me, but they just don't know it. Professor, don't just say no. That's right, at least let us two school beauties perform. How about a girl kiss? We'll believe it then. Ju Tian ignored them and said to Dongfang Yu'er and Guan Yinxin, lift up your hair. The two campus belles flipped up their hair, and their expressions were normal. It couldn't be any more normal. Professor Ju, this is too fake. A middle-aged man walked toward the podium. He was also a hypnosis professor, but no one attended his class. Ju Tian's class was full every day, so he wanted to teach him a lesson. Ju Tian said indifferently, Professor Lu, what can I do for you? I don't dare to teach, I just don't want to see the students being deceived. Professor Lu said loudly, as if he wanted to expose the fact that Zhu Tian was a liar. Zhu Tian did not care and said indifferently, how do you want to prove that I am a liar? Naturally, by hypnosis. Professor Lu was full of confidence. Sure. Seeing that Zhu Tian had agreed, Professor Lu looked at the two campus bells. They were really beautiful. This Professor Zhu really knew how to play. He didn't call others campus bells and only called them campus bells. If they were hypnotized, he would be able to touch them a few times. Wouldn't that be great? They've already been hypnotized by me. You should find them from outside the classroom. Professor Lu was amused by this sentence. This is the reaction after being hypnotized. You should go lie to elementary school students. Come here, Zhu Tian crooked his finger at the two school beauties. Dongfang Yuan and Guan Yinxin walked behind Zhu Tian, and Zhu Tian said indifferently, help me massage my back. Sure enough, the two campus bells began to massage his back. All right, stand over there again. Throughout the entire process, the two campus bells didn't have any unusual reactions. It couldn't be more normal. Oh, how much did you pay him? Professor Lu did not believe in such hypnosis. Since you don't believe me, you can try. I'll give it a try. With that said, Professor Lu walked up to the stage, took out a pocket watch, and asked the two campus bells to lie down. Relax. Relax your body and close your eyes. Zhu Tian said indifferently, he's taking advantage of you too. Just as he finished speaking, the two campus bells opened their eyes and called out. Pa pa. Old pervert. Smelly pervert. With that said, the two campus bells ran down the stage, and the fangirls pointed at Professor Lu and scolded him. Report him. He actually used hypnosis to take advantage of students. That's right, I saw this old pervert groping the campus bells. Professor Lu was dumbfounded. He had only said one sentence just now. He didn't do anything at all. Professor Lu, I already said that they were all hypnotized by me. Zhu Tian coldly stared at the old man in front of him. If it was in the past, he would have killed him long ago. You. Just you wait. With that said, Professor Lu ran away. From now on, he would be labeled as an old pervert. Guan Yinxin said to Zhu Tian, Professor Zhu, you entered my body just now, you have to take responsibility. When this was said, a commotion immediately broke out. Song Xiaoxiao said softly, if that's the case, Professor Zhu also entered your body just now. Of course not. Dongfang Yu said with a red face. I really envy you girls who have your bodies entered by Professor Zhu. I also want to have my body entered. The class quickly ended with Zhu Tian's explanation. Dongfang Yu pulled Song Xiaoxiao, who was reluctant to leave, and left. As for Guan Yinxin, she walked towards Zhu Tian and said tenderly, Professor Zhu, are you free tonight? I'm not free. Guan Yinxin blocked Zhu Tian's path and said tenderly, Professor Zhu, you have already entered my body just now, how can you be so ruthless? Moreover, there is a banquet tonight, I want you to be my male companion. Guan Yinxin said tenderly, that tone of hers was filled with endless temptation. Zhu Tian asked, family gathering? Seems like Professor Zhu is also an insider. Guan Yinxin was startled for a moment, then she smiled and said. All right, come and pick me up tonight. With that, Zhu Tian left. Looking at Zhu Tian's indifferent aura, Guan Yinxin licked her red lips. She liked this kind of indifferent man, only conquering him would give her a thrill. Zhu Tian was currently staying in the teacher's dormitory. After returning, he would report this news to the higher-ups. Yihua only had one request, and that was to not let them get hold of any information that could be used against him. Even if they knew that he was playing tricks on them, they wouldn't have any evidence to prove it. Zhu Tian expressed that he understood. At night, a red Ferrari stopped outside of the school. Zhu Tian, who was still wearing a white suit, opened the car door and sat inside. The person who was driving the car was precisely Guan Yinxin. A woman who was in the middle of puberty looked especially alluring. Every inch of her skin was emitting out a fragrance. However, Zhu Tian was not moved at all. If it wasn't for him needing a logical identity, he wouldn't even be bothered to sit here. Professor Zhu, you are so handsome. Guan Yinxin was wearing a V-neck gown. Her deep cleavage was breathtaking. Zhu Tian said faintly, let's go. I like men like you. Guan Yinxin teased, then stepped on the accelerator. The engine roared, and the sound of the engine resounded throughout the street. International Hotel was Zijin City's iconic building. It was formed by two buildings alternating, forming a triangular shape. The design concept of the hotel was rather innovative. After arriving at the entrance of the hotel, a manager ran over and shouted, Miss Guan. Park the car. Guan Yinxin threw the car key into the manager's embrace, and the manager caught the car key hurriedly and almost dropped it onto the ground. Zhu Tian got off the car and rubbed his eyes. This Guan Yinxin doesn't seem to be that simple. Chapter 351. That's right, what does your family do for a living? If it wasn't for the fact that I have to fulfill his honor's order, I really want to kill this woman. Kiss me and I'll tell you. If it were any other man, they would have directly pounced on her. However, Zhu Tian felt that this was an insult to him. However, this woman was still of some use to him, so he put his arm around her slender waist. Tell me. Annoying, there are so many people here. Guan Yinxin did not expect Zhu Tian to suddenly make such a move, and was a little embarrassed. Although Guan Yinxin was strong-minded, she would not go to the extent of messing around. Even now, she did not have a boyfriend. Didn't she fancy Zhu Tian? He took the initiative to attack. However, Absolute Heaven only wanted to make use of him and did not have any other intentions. Now that Zhu Tian knew that he had the upper hand, he caressed her waist with his right hand and said indifferently, Are you not going to say it? The numbness coming from his waist made Guan Yan's heart flutter, but he also felt that it was very exciting. There were so many people coming and going. Professor Zhu, do you know about aristocratic families? Zhu Tian was slightly stunned, and his right hand tightened. This time, Zhu Tian was actually hugging Guan Yinxin. This was a sign of excitement. If he could sneak into one of the aristocratic families, wouldn't it be even easier to operate? Although Absolute Heaven's hypnosis technique appeared to be very powerful, it also had its flaws. If Guan Yinxin was hypnotized, her words and actions would be normal in the beginning. However, after a long period of time, her actions would slowly change, and it would be very easy for people close to her to notice. His honor had ordered us not to leave any evidence behind. Absolute Heaven, what are you doing? Guan Yinxin called out sweetly. She did not expect that Absolute Heaven would become so excited upon hearing that she was a member of an aristocratic family. However, this was also good. She could use her family's name to hook up with a handsome professor. Hugging Guan Yinxin's delicate body, Zhu Tian felt like vomiting. He never thought that he would have to use the honey trap. Zhu Tian, are you feeling unwell? Guan Yinxin liked men like Zhu Tian. It was love at first sight. After Absolute Heaven regained his calm, he said, It's nothing, just a little nauseous. Then let's go buy some medicine. No need. Let's go in first. Zhu Tian really wanted to see who would be going up on stage tonight to facilitate his future plans. As for the woman beside him, he would temporarily make use of her. The two of them took the elevator to the top floor. Miss Guan. The attendant beside the elevator shouted respectfully. As for Guan Yinxin, she didn't seem to care at all. She held on to Zhu Tian's arm happily. Zhu Tian swept his gaze across the crowd and discovered that there were some family heads from Purple Gold City among them. Xiao Yi, Tang Wushuang, the Bai siblings, Wang Debao, Chen Xuanzong, and that female student were all present. These people were all present. Not bad. Tonight's trip was worthwhile. The purpose of the Guan clan's banquet was the same as the Yi clan's. It was nothing more than to canvass for votes. Miss Guan. Miss Guan. Guan Yinxin held on to Zhu Tian's arm and nodded with a smile. His words and actions had the demeanor of a great master. Zhu Tian was currently considering Guan Yinxin's usefulness. Should he use this identity to enter the Guan family and make it easier for him to take action in the future? Brother, brother. Guan Yinxin called out to a man. Zhu Tian looked over. This man's bearing was extraordinary, and he had an imposing appearance. He was actually her big brother. Yinxin, you're finally here. Father has been looking for you everywhere. Guanli walked over and smiled. Seeing his sister holding a man's hand, he frowned. Guan Yinxin smiled and introduced, brother, this is Zhu Tian, my boyfriend. When did you have a boyfriend? Guan Li's tone was filled with ill intent as he asked gravely. Only you are allowed to have a girlfriend, but I'm not allowed to have a boyfriend? Brother, you can't play like this. Guan Yinxin thought that her brother was joking and teased. Guan Li pulled his sister to the side. You clearly know that father is going to announce the marriage between you and Jiang family today, yet you still brought a man here. It's precisely because father is going to announce the marriage that I brought my boyfriend here. Guan Yinxin had an indifferent look on her face. Do you want father's face to fall to the ground? You're too insensible. What does it have to do with me? In any case, I will choose my own man. Guanli was angered to the point that his head hurt. You. I really don't know what to say. If you are thinking for your boyfriend's sake, then immediately break up with him. If not, he won't be able to see tomorrow's sun. Let's see who dares to touch him. Guan Yinxin wasn't someone to be trifled with. What's wrong? Zhu Tian walked over and asked faintly. Guanli glanced at absolute heaven, then said to his little sister, do as you see fit. After saying that, he left. Absolute heaven had a bad feeling about this. This was the best opportunity to infiltrate an aristocratic family. He could not let this woman escape for the time being. My father is going to sell me. Guan Yinxin sighed in relief. At this time, the helplessness he felt was similar to Dongfang Yuer. They were both used as bargaining chips. Hearing these words, absolute heaven's heart sank. Just a moment ago, he was still thinking of how to make use of her. Yet, in the blink of an eye, it had all turned into bubbles. This caused absolute heaven's expression to sink. Seeing Zhu Tian's expression, Guan Yinxin thought that Zhu Tian was unhappy. Are you angry? Guan Yinxin asked curiously. Absolute heaven frowned as he nodded his head. The plan he had been thinking about for a long time was suddenly ruined. How could he not be angry? Do you dare to make a bet with me? Guan Yinxin asked softly. At the end of the day, Guan Yinxin was also using Zhu Tian to get rid of her family's arranged marriage. She only chose someone she liked. In this aspect, it was more or less the same as Qinya. Hearing what Guan Yinxin said, Zhu Tian felt that he could only make a bet. It would naturally be good if he could successfully sneak into Guan family, but if he couldn't, it would bring him a lot of trouble. Furthermore, this Jiang family was also an aristocratic family. Messing up this arranged marriage might cause estrangement between the two of them. What is the purpose of your family hosting this banquet? The two leaned against the window. Zhu Tian naturally wanted to get some information out of Guan Yinxin. Guan Yinxin drank a glass of red wine, and with a blush on her face, she said quietly, I will tell you, but you must not tell anyone else. All right. It is for the longevity fruit. Guan Yinxin said secretly. Zhu Tian revealed a puzzled look. Longevity fruit? You don't know, right? In actuality, aristocratic families aren't the most powerful, there is still Voidless Realm above them. Voidless Realm will distribute the longevity fruit once every 100 years, and only the people from aristocratic families know about it. Those aristocratic families don't know about it at all. Don't tell anyone about it, otherwise, it will be troublesome. Guan Yanxin, who was slightly drunk, said in an infatuated manner. She completely didn't know how important this matter was, as it was related to the fate of her entire family. Even Yihua didn't know about the longevity fruit, yet this time, Zhu Tian knew about it. This Guan Yanxin sure is a lucky star, to be willing to sell out her teammates like this. Seeing Zhu Tian's surprised look, Guan Yanxin said with a smile, there are a lot of secrets in aristocratic families, and they are all things that cannot be revealed to others. You are drunk. Zhu Tian was a bit excited. It was right to come here today, this woman knows a lot of things. However, I can't act too aggressively right now, if not, it will raise her suspicion. Should I just use hypnosis to get the information out of her? In just a few days' time, he had obtained the acknowledgement of many family heads. Basically, his figure could be seen in all of the banquets. Chen Xuanzong decided to put his relationship with Qingya aside for now. After he ascended to the peak, he would look for Qingya and tell her that Long Outyan wasn't a good person. Long Outyan, who was far away in the mountains, looked up at the sky and sighed. What the f***ck did I do wrong? Holding onto a glass of red wine, Chen Xuanzong arrived in front of Tang Wushuang, Tang family head. Patriarch Chen. Recently, Tang Wushuang's mood was exceptionally good, and this caused his hormones to be very active. If it wasn't for the beard on his face, the voice that he intentionally suppressed, and the bandage on his chest, Tang Wushuang would have already become a living beauty. Chen Xuanzong had also discovered that Tang Wushuang's voice sounded a bit intentional. Recently, I caught a cold, and my throat is a bit uncomfortable. Tang Wushuang explained with a smile. However, with his current strength, how could he possibly catch a cold so easily? Chen Xuanzong said with a concerned smile, then, Patriarch Tang, remember to rest well. Thank you for your concern, Patriarch Chen. I will naturally take care of myself. Tang Wushuang's expression also began to change a bit, and this caused Chen Xuanzong to have goosebumps all over his body. Patriarch Tang, when are we going to take action? Chen Xuanzong had already paid a visit to Tang Wushuang a few days ago. After that, Chen Xuanzong and Tang Wushuang came to an agreement, and they were going to exterminate the Shao family together. Tang Wushuang looked at Shao Yi, who was far away, and said gravely, after the aristocratic family selection is over, we will prepare to take action. Then, I can be at ease. Chen Xuanzong patted on Tang Wushuang's shoulder. The latter went into a slight daze, and a girl-like shyness actually appeared on his forehead. This caused Chen Xuanzong to immediately stop. What's going on with this Tang Wushuang? Shao Yi naturally discovered Tang Wushuang and Chen Xuanzong as well. The two of them having their arms around each other's shoulders definitely isn't a good thing. Looking at Bai Cixin, who was not far away, Shao Yi revealed a kind smile and walked towards her. Patriarch Bai. Bai Cixin turned around slowly. Patriarch Shao, it's been a long time. Patriarch Bai is still so beautiful. I'm so infatuated with you. Wang Debao, who was at the side, had a black face. You dare to flirt with my wife in front of me? Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the Xianyuan sword. I can finish sucking a plate of snails without using my hands, but can you do it too? Bai Cixin smiled lightly and said, my husband is still beside me. Patriarch Shao, please be careful with your words. Wang Debao snorted coldly and lightly hugged his wife. He seemed to be saying, you loser, hurry up and get lost. Director Wang, don't misunderstand. I came here today to form an alliance. Shao Yi revealed his purpose. Right now, forming an alliance was the only way out, and it was also the best way. Bai Cixin said indifferently, why should I agree with you? Because we have the same enemy, Tang family. Shao Yi said coldly. A strange smile appeared on Bai Cixin's face as she said, indeed. When Wang Debao heard that Shao Yi didn't come to seduce his wife, but to form an alliance, he felt much more at ease. Furthermore, Wang Debao, have great martial arts, and my wife is already unable to free herself. Both Xiao and Bai family had ancient godly items. If they were to fight, they would have a huge advantage. In the Tangshan alliance, only Tang family had ancient godly items. Qin Xuanzong didn't, so they would be at a disadvantage. But don't forget about Tang Wushuang's teacher, Gui Chenren. This was equivalent to having a walking ancient godly item. At this moment, round, middle-aged man appeared at the scene. This was the patriarch of Guan family, Guan Tong. This person's height was less than 1.7 meters, but his body was very fat. Looking from afar, he looked like a walking rubber ball. But don't be blinded by his fat body. After all, he was the patriarch of one of the 5 great families. If he didn't have some skills, how could he sit in this position? Patriarch Guan. Patriarch Guan. Patriarch Guan. All the patriarchs greeted him passionately. Guan Tong was very happy too. But when he saw his daughter was actually nestling in a man's embrace, his fat face immediately darkened. If Jiang family's people saw this scene, what marriage was there to talk about? My father is here. Guan Yanxin immediately left Zhu Tian's embrace. It seemed like she was still a little afraid of her father. Zhu Tian asked softly, "Do you still dare to gamble?" Chapter 353. I dare. Zhu Tian nodded his head. You go first. Zhu Tian did not explain and directly blended into the crowd, causing Guan Yanxin to be dumbfounded. Yanxin, who was that man just now? Guan Tong walked over and questioned. Guan Yanxin said in a deep voice, "My boyfriend. Do you know what day it is today? Do you have to choose this day to anger father?" Guan Tong bellowed in anger. His daughter's actions were smearing the family's name. I have to decide my own marriage. Guan Yanxin was very firm. She was better than Dongfang Yu, in this aspect, she would resist. However, this kind of resistance was useless. You still want to decide your own marriage? Where did your boyfriend go? Does he have the guts to stand out? Guan Yanxin looked around and realized that Zhu Tian had disappeared. Did he run away in fear? He even asked me if I dared to do it, but he actually dared to run away. So timid. I originally thought that he was a man, but I didn't expect him to be acting. Look, your boyfriend is only so-so. He ran away the moment father came. It can be seen how despicable he is. Guan Tong naturally did not want his daughter to follow an ordinary person or an ordinary family, so a marriage with the Jiang family was the most important thing. Guan Yanxin sighed deeply. She had misjudged. She really regretted saying those words just now. Alright, don't be sad. Jiang Zhua is also a good boy. You will know after you interact with him. Guan Yanxin was silent. She seemed to have given up. Guan Tong patted his daughter's shoulder. Yanxin, father knows your thoughts, but being born in the Guan family, there are many things that can't be helped. Father was the same back then. Father, I understand. Guan Yanxin said dejectedly. Her gaze was still searching the crowd, but she really did not see Zhu Tian. At this moment, Zhu Tian was contacting Wei Chang through the safe passage. Because there were some things that Zhu Tian did not know how to do, such as making a woman willingly help him. Zhu Tian, I have also thought about this question for a long time. Wei Chang's tone was filled with helplessness. Recently, Xiao Tang had returned to school and stayed in the dormitory at night. He had not seen her for a few days. This made Wei Chang very uneasy. This Xiao Tang could not be angry, right? Lil Tang was indeed very angry. I've already shared the same bed with you, but you haven't had any reaction all day. Is it because I'm not pretty enough? Obviously not, but Uncle Wei just didn't touch her. She was sad, thinking that Uncle Wei didn't like her at all. Zhu Tian asked curiously, then, what conclusion did you come to? I can tell. Women like to fool around and do some inexplicable things. When Wei Chang thought of the things that Tang Wei did every day, he became puzzled. Tang Wei was hinting at you crazily, yet you didn't react at all. Don't tell me you want a girl to directly expose you. Ju Tian said faintly, today, I met two crucial women. However, I don't know how to make them die for me. I am unable to help you with this problem. Lai Gu seems to know a lot more. After all, only Lai Gu is able to maintain his relationship very well. Wei Chang thought about it and agreed with what His Honor said. His Honor's relationship problems are happening every single day, and I also have conflicts with Tang Bingyao. That little Green and Zi Shan still haven't slept together on the same bed, and only Lai Gu and his 3 wives are the most harmonious with each other. And of course, there is also Death Mage and Sun Fang. These 2 couples were simply role models. Alright. Ju Tian cut off his connection with Wei Chang and immediately contacted Lai Gu. Right now, Lai Gu was doing his best to fulfill his duties. He was still lying on the bed with a satisfied look on his face along with Bai Xiaozhen, while Lai Gu was currently satisfying Wen Xia who was below him. Lai Gu, can I ask you something? Ju Tian asked. Lai Gu said while gasping for breath, what is it? How do you make a woman do things for you willingly? Lai Gu said gravely, is there even a need to think about it? Just do it with all your might. What for? Ju Tian had a puzzled look on his face. What are you talking about? What else can I do? If you want a woman to be obedient, you have to make her obedient. This was Lai Gu's theory, and also the conclusion he came up with. Look at my 3 wives, I will do whatever I say. If they don't listen to me, I will do it until they listen to me. This has been tried and tested. In actuality, this set of dominoes theory was something that Yi Hua could imitate and directly make them lie on the ground. Why would I have the energy to blame you? Ju Tian tightly wrinkled his brows. Will this work? You can just listen to me, but His Honor just doesn't listen to me. Your 2 wives are still causing all sorts of trouble. These words are rather reasonable. Ju Tian said, let me think about it then. Alright, you think about it yourself. I am still busy right now. After ending the call, Lai Gu seemed to have turned into a small electric motor, and the frequency of his massage increased, causing Wen Xia to moan endlessly. My massage technique is getting better and better. In the entire team, Lai Gu was the happiest. Of course, there were also Lai Gu's wives, who were enjoying their husband's treatment. Ju Tian leaned on the staircase's handrail and let out a deep breath. Do I really have to sacrifice my body? I feel like I have suffered a loss. However, for His Honor's command, even if I have to sacrifice my body, I will not hesitate. Just that, how am I supposed to do it? Ju Tian had no choice but to seek help from Baidu. Drugging, forcing alcohol, picking up corpses, and all sorts of strange methods. This caused Ju Tian to shake his head. These methods are too despicable. I, Ju Tian, disdain to use these despicable methods. Bang! The staircase's door could be seen being fiercely pushed open, and a man could be seen grabbing onto a woman's arm and pushing her against the wall. Ju Tian took a look. It was actually his student, Dongfang Yu, and that person from Bai family. This is a bit interesting. Dongfang Yu, What is the meaning of this? Are you not giving me any face at all? Bai Qi's hand slammed onto the wall fiercely, causing Dongfang Yu's ears to go numb. I am asking you a question. Seeing that Dongfang Yu remained silent, Bai Qi became furious. You don't allow me to touch you, but I am going to touch you today. After finished speaking, Bai Qi prepared to kiss Dongfang Yu. Dongfang Yu turned pale with fright as she used both of her hands to block. You said that you won't touch me. I am going to F***ck you today. No one will be able to stop me. Dongfang Yu's face became extremely pale and powerless. However, looking at Bai Qi's malevolent face, Dongfang Yu didn't know where she got the strength to kick Bai Qi's crotch. Bai Qi was immediately stupefied. He raised his hand and gave Dongfang Yu a slap, then held on to his crotch. Slut. I am going to beat you to death today. Dongfang Yu directly fell onto the ground from the slap, but she didn't cry. She just felt that not being violated was better than anything else. Being beaten to death like this is also a form of release. Bai Qi relaxed and felt much better. Just as he was about to teach the woman on the ground a lesson, a voice rang out. Zhu Tian had been watching from the side for a long time. He felt that this was a good opportunity, a heaven-sent opportunity. He mustn't miss it. She is my student, if you dare touch her, I dare you. Zhu Tian slowly walked over, his tone ice-cold. In order to obtain Dongfang Yu's trust, Zhu Tian was willing to kill this Bai Qi. After all, this Bai Qi wouldn't be of much use in this matter, but as a corpse, he would be of some use. Bai Qi's face darkened as he looked at Zhu Tian. Who are you? Chapter 354. If not for the fact that Zhu Tian doesn't like women, Zhu Tian would definitely be an expert at picking up girls. Appearing at the most helpless time of a girl, his timing was very accurate. Furthermore, hugging and comforting the other party like this, the other party was even more touched. Just like Dongfang Yuan, other than the senior sister that day, Dongfang Yuan, was the second person that spoke up for me. No one else dared to offend the Bai family. You are my girlfriend's teacher. Bai Qi said confusedly. Zhu Tian lightly caressed Dongfang Yuan's beautiful hair, but in his heart, he wanted to directly kill her. Women. I hate women. However, for the sake of his honor's mission, Zhu Tian endured the impulse in his heart. Not only am I her teacher, I am also her man. This time, Bai Qi was startled. Even Dongfang Yuan was startled. I know that Professor Zhu is helping me, but he is someone from Bai family. Professor Zhu, don't say any more. What Dongfang Yuan meant was for Zhu Tian to not help her anymore, otherwise, he would bring trouble upon himself. However, in Bai Qi's ears, it didn't sound like this at all. This Dongfang Yuan doesn't want me to say any more. So she already has a man, no wonder she doesn't want me to touch her. She is definitely afraid that I would find out that it wasn't her first time. I, the dignified young master of Bai family, was actually cuckolded. This is a humiliation. Today, I am going to kill the two of you. Bai Qi relied on his big sister's power and did quite a lot of bad things. Adding on that no one dared to provoke him, this increased his arrogance even more. Especially during this period of time, his big sister is simply going to become the family head. As for me, I am also a young master of an aristocratic family. I don't put anyone in my eyes, let alone a person from a small family. Of course, Bai Qi still had some foundation, but he was only slightly stronger than ordinary people. Zhu Tian raised his hand and directly slapped Bai Qi onto the wall. Bai Qi held onto his cheek and looked at Zhu Tian in disbelief. You dare to slap me? Do you know who my big sister is? Do you know who I am? I only need to move a finger and you too will die. Bai Qi's handsome face was especially terrifying. His family's power had grown so much that he had almost forgotten his surname. Dongfang Yuan left Zhu Tian's embrace and bowed to Zhu Tian. Professor Zhu, thank you for helping me, but please don't bother about this anymore, otherwise, you will be in danger. What a good girl. She would rather put herself in danger than drag others down. However, Zhu Tian did not feel anything at all. In his mind, there was only his honor's command and the completion of his honor's command. Get out. Absolute Heaven said gravely. Bai Qi was startled. He didn't see anything unusual. Let's go, but don't let me see you. Otherwise, I will beat you to death. After saying that, Bai Qi walked out. Just as Absolute Heaven had thought, the white flag would only be useful if it was turned into a corpse. As for Dongfang Yu, this woman was still very useful. Are you alright? Absolute Heaven asked, concerned. Dongfang Yu shook her head. Professor Zhu, it's better for you to quickly leave, otherwise, Dongfang Yuan's beautiful eyes widened as she stared in disbelief at this overbearing and cold man in front of her. He actually forcefully kissed her. Shouldn't I push him away? Why did his hands seem to have no strength? Zhu Tian almost vomited, but he endured it and kissed her. Dongfang Yue was related to the destruction of the Dongfang family, and Guan Yanxin had a lot of news about the aristocratic families. These two girls must be won over. If it really doesn't work, then I'll learn from Lai Gu and directly do it. Although it was a bit disgusting, I will just treat it as being bitten by a little puppy. One must know that Zhu Tian's original form was a cat, and he was very misophobic, to the point that he didn't even want to touch women. After separating his lips, Zhu Tian looked at Dongfang Yuan and said, "Don't worry, in the future, no one will bully you, other than me." Professor Zhu, we can't do this, thank you for your good intentions. Dongfang Yuan's face was completely red. What Zhu Tian brought her was a strong sense of security, and in this kind of dangerous situation, her heart felt warm. However, Zhu Tian wouldn't let Dongfang Yuan go. He pulled her back and pressed her against the wall. Dongfang Yuan didn't dare to look straight at Zhu Tian's gaze and lowered her head. Do you still want to let him bully you? Zhu Tian asked coldly. This is my life. Dongfang Yuan said in a low voice. Zhu Tian lifted up Dongfang Yuan's chin and said faintly, right now, you have the chance to change your life. Professor Zhu, I don't want you to be implicated. It must be said that Dongfang Yuan had a good impression of Zhu Tian, otherwise, she wouldn't have let Zhu Tian snatch away her first kiss. Of course, this was also Absolute Heaven's first kiss. However, it made Absolute Heaven feel nauseous. I like you. When Absolute Heaven said such words, he wished that he could give himself a slap. This was too King disgusting. However, for the sake of his honor's command, they had no choice but to endure it. After all, after the mission was completed, they would no longer be needed anymore. Dongfang Yuan was stupefied. She looked at Zhu Tian, who was in front of her in a daze. Song Xiaoxiao was right. He was really handsome and gave her a sense of security. If she wasn't herself, she would definitely be his girlfriend. Professor Zhu, please behave yourself. After saying that, Dongfang Yuan trotted out with tears in her eyes. Zhu Tian was stupefied. There was actually a woman who could escape the might of his looks. Even that Guan Yanxin was mesmerized by her, but this Dongfang Yu was actually unmoved. Interesting. But I like high difficulty. Tonight, Bai Qi had to die, and he had to die fair and square. Absolute Heaven took out a handkerchief and wiped his hands. He then walked out of the stairwell. At this moment, the banquet was reaching its climax. On the stage was the head of the Guan family, Guan Tong. He was giving his speech. Meanwhile, the people from Jiang family had arrived as well. The handsome little brother who was sitting beside Jiang Yuanzhou was Jiang Yuanzhou's youngest son, Jiang Jianhua. Jiang Jianhua looked a bit strange, he seemed a bit slow-witted. This didn't mean that he was sick, rather, Jiang Jianhua was afraid of strangers. It was very difficult for him to go out all year round, and now that he had reached the marriageable age, he found Guan family's youngest daughter. The two families could be said to be well matched in terms of social status, and no one was trying to curry favor with the other. In the future, if there was anything that happened, everyone could discuss it together. Guan Tong, who was on the stage, was finally going to get down to business. Actually, there is another joyous event today, and that is the marriage between my Guan family and Jiang family. Let's welcome the two newlyweds. Guan Tong took the lead and applauded. The beautiful Guan Yanxin was dignified and attractive. As the daughter of an aristocratic family, Guan Yanxin could be counted as a rather outstanding woman. On the other hand, Jiang Jianhua had his back arched, his expression was slightly nervous, and his gaze was erratic. It seemed like he didn't like this kind of occasion. This Jiang Jianhua is not worthy of her. Guan Yanxin had already given up long ago. This is fate. To marry a cowardly man. Chapter 355. Jiang Yuanzhou stood up, stroked his collar, and slowly walked onto the stage with a dignified air. Just the way he walked up to the stage won him the applause of the patriarchs. All right, it was just flattery. Jiang Yuanzhou waved his hand, signaling everyone to be quiet. He then patted his son's shoulder. The latter immediately shrank back as if he was about to be beaten. Jiang Yuanzhou saw his son's performance and glared fiercely at him. Don't make a fool of yourself in front of so many people. However, Jiang Jianhua was even more afraid. Maybe it was because he was beaten by his father when he was young. Now, when his father stared at him, he immediately became terrified. Straighten your back. Jiang Yuanzhou slapped his son's waist. He was so shocked that he immediately stood up straight, as if he was about to receive some sort of commendation. His chin was lifted slightly. If Jiang Jianhua had a little more confidence, he would also be a talent. Unfortunately, he had been traumatized by his father when he was young and had no confidence at all. It's my son's fortune to have such a good wife like Yan Xian. It's also a joyous occasion for the Jiang family. Of course, Guan Tong had to be polite as well. The fat on his face began to tremble. Brother Jiang is too polite. It is Yan Xian's fortune to be able to marry into the Jiang clan. Besides, Jianhua is a talented man with an imposing appearance. He is rare in this world. The compliments from the heads of the two aristocratic families really gave people goosebumps. Guan Yanxin, who was like a block of wood, looked as if she had lost her soul. Actually, everyone knew that this was because they had no choice but to join together for the sake of benefits. Say something. Jiang Yuanzhou said to his son in a low voice. After all, today was considered a public relationship, followed by an engagement, and then a marriage. As a man, of course, he had to express a few words. Jiang Jianhua looked at the large group of people in front of him and revealed a timid expression, unable to spit out a single word. No one knew who took the lead to applaud, but everyone began to encourage Jiang Jianhua, as if they were kindergartners who needed encouragement from adults before they would speak. This caused Jiang Yuanzhou's expression to turn ugly. However, this move was indeed useful. I like her very much. Jiang Jianhua said while stuttering, expressing his feelings very well. Although it was difficult, he still said it. Jiang Yuanzhou was relieved. Guan Tong also felt relieved. It was a good thing for his daughter to marry him. After all, with his daughter's intelligence, at least she wouldn't be bullied. The audience applauded again. Yanxin, come and say something, Guan Tong said to her daughter. Guan Yanxin came back to her senses and asked curiously, what are you guys talking about? The corner of Guan Tong's mouth twitched. Jiang Yuanzhou's face immediately darkened. On the other hand, Jiang Jianhua was sullen. His goddess didn't hear him at all. Guan Tong smiled and reminded him in a low voice, just say that you like Jiang Jianhua. Guan Yanxin did not like him at all. She hated this kind of cowardly man the most. He had no manliness at all and was even weaker than her. But what could he do? Speak. Guan Tong shouted in a low voice, but he still had a weak smile on his face. After the marriage between Guan and Jiang, there would be a new situation. Guan Yanxin also knew that she had no choice but to speak up. Taking a step forward, she raised her arrogant chin, only to see Zhu Tian walking back. He didn't leave. He was back. Guan Yanxin's obedient heart started to rebel again. She would rather die than marry such a man. If you want to hold hands, you can't use me in exchange. Seeing her daughter suddenly smile, Guan Tong had a bad feeling. Jiang Yuanzhou and Jiang Jianhua thought it was Guan Yanxin who smiled happily and felt very comfortable. I like him. Guan Yanxin said it very straightforwardly and boldly. Everyone couldn't help but admire this kind of woman. As a daughter of an aristocratic family, she dared to do this. Guan Tong knew it would be like this. Guan Yanxin's brother stood at the side and looked at Zhu Tian, who was walking over. The smile of the father and son of the Jiang family froze on their faces. That's right, Guan Yanxin pointed at Zhu Tian and shouted this sentence. She was a very courageous young lady. Zhu Tian also liked this result. Because of him, the relationship between the Guan and Jiang family had fallen to a freezing point. Now, it needed to be added to the ice. Zhu Tian rubbed his eyes and put his left hand in his pocket. He stretched out his right hand and hooked his finger at Guan Yanxin. Everyone's heart sank. You don't put the two families in your eyes at all. You actually hooked your finger at the daughter of an aristocratic family. Besides, she was the daughter of an aristocratic family. Your action of beckoning her with your finger showed deep contempt, as if you were looking for a mistress. Although she said that she liked you, she would not come over. After all, the daughter of an aristocratic family had pride. However, everyone was disappointed. Guan Yanxin was like a canary that was released from its cage. With a happy smile, she ran towards Zhu Tian. In Guan Yanxin's eyes, Zhu Tian's hooking finger action was too domineering. She loved to conquer this kind of man, cold and domineering. Everyone watched as Guan Yanxin threw herself into the man's embrace. And that man actually directly kissed Guan Yanxin's cherry lips. The important thing was that his hands were actually pressing on her butt and grabbing it. Grabbing someone's butt in front of so many people. Those deep marks were already visible. Domineering. This was completely the rhythm of not wanting to see tomorrow's sun. Dongfang Yu who was in the crowd, saw Zhu Tian kissing Guan Yanxin and slowly turned her head. At this moment, Guan Yanxin was completely intoxicated. She had completely forgotten where she was. Her first kiss was actually given in this kind of situation. Her little butt was already hurting from being grabbed by her teacher. How exciting! After a long kiss, Guan Yanxin nestled in Zhu Tian's embrace with a tender and beautiful blush. That look was as if she wouldn't marry anyone else. As for Zhu Tian, he almost vomited again. Later on, he really had to buy some anti-vomiting medicine. It would still be useful in the future. Father, look at her. She was kissed by another man. I don't like it anymore. Jiang Jianhua was rather straightforward. Seeing his goddess being kissed, he was very jealous and didn't want her anymore. Jiang Yuanzhou looked towards Guan Tong with a sunken face. Guan Tong, you have to give me a good explanation for this matter. After speaking, he prepared to leave with his son. Guan Tong hurriedly shouted, Brother Jiang, my daughter was muddled for a moment. Father, I am not muddled. Guan Yanxin said with a tender smile. She very domineeringly kissed Zhu Tian's lips. She felt that Zhu Tian's lips had a good texture and even carried a fragrance. You! Guan Tong's mouth was almost crooked from anger. Seeing this, Jiang Yuanzhou coldly snorted, Guan Tong, this is the good daughter you taught. Making fun of my Jiang family. Brother Jiang, what do you mean by that? I, Guan Tong, did not do it on purpose. In actuality, Guan Tong was already lowering his status and begging Jiang Yuanzhou. However, in the end, Guan Tong was still a family head of an aristocratic family. In front of everyone, Zhu Tian was kissing Guan Yanxin, who was in his embrace with all his might, and his hands were even roaming around Guan Yanxin's lower abdomen. So painful to the eyes. If there is really no one around, are the two of you going to fight for real? Look at her. Did I say anything wrong? Jiang Yuanzhou pointed at Guan Yanxin, who was kissing passionately, and shouted out. In actuality, Guan Tong was very angry as well. My daughter is actually hugging and kissing a man in front of so many people. My face is about to be completely thrown away. Just as the two family heads were arguing with each other, a commotion suddenly came out from the crowd. You are a profligate son. This was Tang Wushuang's voice. I am not a profligate son. You are talking nonsense. Bai Qi had a wronged look on his face, as if he had received a huge blow. Right after he finished speaking, He immediately ran towards the balcony and leaped into the balcony under the gaze of everyone. The entire place was deathly silent. Until a muffled sound rang out. By Chi. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.